Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers, and sisters. Welcome back to the VMS LMU Championship, sponsored by Plews Tyres. We are looking at the Platinum Split here at Sebring. We head back stateside as I'm going to be flinching every time anyone goes anywhere near that tyre wall. Thank you very much, Adara-chan. My name's Chris Buxton. I'll be one of your commentators throughout tonight's festivities. We are now at round 5 of the championship, as the practice session you are looking at is winding to a close. Isaac Gillison currently at the top of the tree for the Hypercars, and it is Sam Gaskell, reserve driver, that is currently top of the tree in the Mercedes in GT3. So will we be seeing a bit of a change of the guard? One way to find out, and that is to stick with us. Joining me in the commentary box, I'm very happy to say, is Nathan Richards. Welcome back to us, Nathan.
Hello, Chris. Hello, everybody in the chat. Great to be back here for action here in VMS Platinum Split. And once again, can't wait to get to the action, of course. A very big grid, as always. And we're heading to Sebring, a track full of chaos. Of course, you've got lots of areas where you're always so close to the tyre barriers or the wall, you think someone's going to end up binning it. I'm sure they will. But, of course, we're going to see a lot of that over the next, an hour and 40-ish minutes. Of course, we have qualifying, and then the race, as practice now, is coming to a close. But, yes, very, very excited to be back again.
Yeah, absolutely true. Nick Domino in charge of the cameras. Very glad to have you back at our side, sir, as we have a look at the current championship standings. Double race winner Alexis Herrett at the top of the tree by quite a margin on 96 points from Luke Whitehead, who is also a double winner in the season, but his result, Paul Ricard, is really hampering his progress thus far. Still plenty of the season to go. Then it is Mehdi Hamadani in the Lamborghini in third, Marin Bessier in the Mustang in fourth, Thomas Leiden in the Merc in fifth, Axel Ramone in sixth, with Patrick Schindler seventh, Alexander Hanna in eighth, Niclas Hubin ninth, and Artem Manisha rounding out the top 10. GT3's Valentin Berrier, I believe, is not with us, if I remember from the signing sheet. He's not with us tonight. In 11th, Alexander Lay 12th, Remy Delorme 13th, Christian Malgera 14th, Adrian Portau 15th, and Julian Hanno, Marius Pedersen, Nicholas Lemoyne, and Julius Neal still yet to get off the mark. The weather can't decide what it's doing. It's supposed to be dry. It's supposed to be dry and very, very hot. So tyre management is definitely going to be a factor in tonight's race. Now, for those unfamiliar with the setup, welcome to you. Always glad to have you along for the ride. 25-minute qualifying session is awaiting us. It's going to be 10 minutes for our GT3s. They will hit the track first. Then there will be a short crossover for the GT3s to finish the lap that they are on, and then they must make way for the Hypercars to start their 10-minute session. They will leave the pit lane as soon as 10 minutes is remaining on the clock, and they will then have their session, out the qualifying session until the flag falls. We look at the Falcon pair, the Merc. So it's one of the Falcon cars that has got Sam Gaskell, who led the practice session. Not many Mercs in the season, but it's good to see that the Merc is being well represented. There is Alexis Herrett, our GT3 leader, has a 96 points. He won at Spa, so that being an endurance round carries a bigger point haul along as well. He won at Paul Ricard. He has not been off the podium all season, is Alexis Herrett. So glad to have him along, riding on board with the Lamborghini.
Indeed, and just speaking about Sam Gaskell, I don't think has raced this season so far here in VMS, but I've commentated over him in a couple of other championships, and he is a very quick driver, so expect a lot from him in that Mercedes here tonight, as we are on board with Alexis Herrett, of course, our championship leader, of course, taking the win last time out in Spa, and of course, that's kind of the perfect round that you want to win, because of it being the endurance round, more points on offer, and he got 38 points from that, extending that lead to a good near enough 30. Ahead of Luke Whitehead on the most famous number of 67 points, so I think we'll be looking to try and catch up a little bit to the back of Alexis Herrett. But because of how close his championship has been so far, Chris, one mistake here for Herrett, maybe finishing off the podium, and a win for Whitehead could already change that championship around by the time we head to Interlagos next time out. Everything in this championship can change so quickly.
That is very, very true indeed. Nothing is decided, nothing is set in stone just yet. We still have 4 rounds left, one of which is an endurance round. So there are still plenty of points on offer. And all it takes is one mistake, and not even your mistake. The whole race is completely changed. Interesting, everybody has gone for, well, everyone's gone for medium tyres for qualifying. That's not actually as interesting as I initially thought. Never mind, ignore that sentence entirely. As we look at
Tyres.
Yeah, everyone has tyres. Yeah, funny that. Remy Delorme first to get a representative time on the board, 204.6. See how the rest of the times start to filter out. Looks like Adrian Portal is next in line. Mehdi Hamadani in top 3 in the jet. Oh, you can see the Lexus bouncing over the curve. The Sebring is bouncy enough as it is with the various blooming potholes that this track has. You don't need to be smacking the curbs that hard, Remy.
Well, I think those that drive in the UK will probably be used to the potholes one. They appeared out of nowhere over the winter with the brilliant infrastructure of our roads. Those abroad, I were thinking, what's a pothole? None of us seen a pothole before.
It is a hole in the floor, and Sebring has a lot of them in very key areas, notably Sunset Bend. Now, it'd be interesting to see how LMU is. Different sims handles those bumps in different ways, but it is usually fairly catastrophic if you catch one of those bumps wrong. And that's the thing, because Sebring is, it is still an airfield, it is still an active airfield for the most part. It is very bumpy, and you can take what you think is the same line time and time and time again. You catch one of those bumps wrong, and suddenly you're backwards into the wall.
Indeed, and I think, here's a perfect example of the curb through that chicane. You've got to go over the curb with quite a lot of speed, and you've got to take them at a perfect angle. You cut that curb slightly wrong, and that can be used, sliding off into a barrier or sliding off into the abyss. So it's all about perfection around Sebring, which what makes it such a brilliant but such a difficult track for drivers to nail correctly. I mean, we saw in the iRacing Sebring 12 hours, lots of drivers making mistakes. Some of those who are, your 9, 10 KR rated drivers who we don't expect to see making big mistakes, and then the same can go as well for the real life 12 hours of Sebring. That was only a couple of weeks ago. As Remy Delorme goes quickest, never mind, it's going to be a few drivers coming through and setting quickest lap times. Hamadani currently is quickest, but of course it takes a while to get those tyres heated up, so it is going to take a couple of laps before we see those big lap times. And at the moment it's now Sam Gaskell who goes quickest by just over a tenth to Pedersen in second place, and then the Lamborghini's looking well in third and fourth so far.
Yeah, very true. Yes, I think Sam Gaskell got into the 159s in practice. One of the few drivers that did. Alexis Herent then as joining him, and look at that. I always get astonished. I mean, I've been in sim racing nearly a decade. Well, actually, it will be a decade this year. It still amazes me. You've got a 2-minute lap, and we're seeing gaps of not even a tenth of a second. How many times have you heard me say that, Nathan? Many times over.
With the world of Formula One, when you have the top 10 separated by less than a tenth, I think it's still more close to this day, even though we know exactly what to expect. But it is insane. I think the blink of an eye is 2.5 tenths of a second, and somehow over 2 minutes, these guys are like a fifth of that time. Insane. But it also shows the level of these guys. You can have a league, which is a little bit lower down. You might have a couple of tenths separating each position. Whereas here, you've got 7 tenths separating the top 12, which is just insane. 1.5 seconds separating the top 15. And yet again, a lot of those drivers still need to get their best laps in. So it's going to close down as the session goes on. And here's Hamadani, who's already found, 7 tenths on this lap? That's good enough to put him on pole by 4 tenths. We'll give it a minute or two. Gaskell, Herent, Pedersen will be right up there again.
Yeah, absolutely true. As we are watching the 297 Lamborghini just bouncing its way through Sunset Bend, as I can see Marius Pedersen has got into the top 3 at the moment. Our sole couldn't even finish the sentence before the whole top of the table completely changes again, and it is that Lamborghini that has got to the top of the tree. There is our sole Aston Martin, Marius Pedersen. Our sole Aston Martin in our GT3s, I should say. But Sam Gaskell once again getting that Falcon-coloured Mercedes back up to that top spot, 159.9. Currently the only driver in sub 2 minutes. Oh, I never mind. Did it again. Alexis Herent re-establishing dominance at the top in the Lamborghini. Still times to come, but you know, people are still getting on there. Patrick Schindler has swapped recently to the Lexus, again in Falcon colors. Now he was, let me just double check. Now he was second last time out of Spa, but that was the first race after his car check. So those 27 points are his only points on the board thus far. But you know, continuing where he left off, he's he is inside the top 5.
Yeah, and the Lexus itself is a very strong car. I mean, Schindler, Malgera, and I think it's Heno have all swapped to a Lexus. Of course, Pedersen has swapped to the Aston Martin, but the other 3 have swapped to the Lexus, which I know from other championships and from a few friends who played the game, it is a very competitive car. So I'm not surprised that we saw a couple of drivers go for that, you know, change halfway into the season. Of course, they made the change at round 3, and we're now, you know, including last time out Spa, they've got 5 races in this car. So, of course, they've took the hits of dropping the points they had, but it still gives them a little bit of a better time out on track, I'd imagine, with a car that's probably got a little bit more pace. And here is Manisha, who's the sole Corvette on track. A car I'll never see, but a car I really love. I love the sound, I love the aesthetic of it. So it's great that we've got one on the grid.
Artem Manisha stayed loyal to the American mark. Let's see how it's going to pay off for him. He gets inside the top 10, 2 minutes, 0.480. Slipstream certainly along the Ulman Straight is very, very important. Here is Luke Whitehead in the Mustang. Double race winner, one at Fuji, one at Silverstone. Would have been towards the sharper end in Paul Ricard, were not for that late penalty. Currently sees himself in 8th position. As Alexis Herent has done it again, he's increased his gap at the top of the tree in the Lamborghini, 59.5. Who's got an answer to it? Well, it's do or die, all or nothing, because we are in the final minute for our GT3 qualifying.
I'm a little bit ashamed, Chris. You didn't use the saying, did you? The Banzai phase. I expected to hear that one. I haven't heard it for a while.
The Banzai phase, well, yes.
The OG saying.
Yeah. You have to remember, folks, Nathan has been subjected to joining me in the commentary box for many years.
Yes.
Yes, we are very much in the Banzai phase. All or nothing. See, I can't speak properly. It's been a very, very long day. It's been a very long day for me, so expect a number of daft vocal trip-ups from me today. There's
It's a love of the game. I mean, me and you, Chris, I think for a good 6 months, we commentated 4 times a week together on a variety of championships. So we've worked with each other a long time. And then I think before this, it was like a year and a half and we didn't do any work together. So we had a big break. For some people, that's probably great, not hearing us two talking.
I was going to say, you needed the recovery time, really. That's what it's really.
I think the chat as well more than anything. Sick and tired of us at one point. But heading to the end of this session, and at the moment, very strong for Alexis Herent, as that was a replay of all the cars heading out to the pit lane. And yeah, I think everybody now will come to finishing their final laps. And Herent, once again, a step above everybody else. 2 wins. With a 4/10 gap, you'd imagine that he's hoping to make it 3 here this season.
A few more times getting on the board. Sam Gaskell improves in time, but not position. Remains in second. Oh, that's exactly what I was talking about. That's another one of the Falcon Mercs that hits the wall. That's got to be Alexander Lay. It could be Thomas Leiden, actually. One of the was Thomas Leiden. So he's gone very tight to the apex there, but the curbs, God's sake, the bumps rather have just pushed him a little bit too far out. I warned you, today is going to be full of mean-worthy sentences. Oh, there is Alexander Hanna. Look at that. It's a little bit further down the field, but within a few thousandths of his previous best. So, yeah, remaining consistent, maybe not with the overall pace in the Lexus, but he's still giving it everything he's got as he comes through Sunset Bend for his final time.
Certainly. Of course, Hanna is P8 in the championship for DNF, though, last time out in Spa. So I'd love to try and work his way back up the field, as it's going to be a 2 minutes 0.620. That's 15th for him, so no improvement of position. And he'll stay in the top 15. So the results for the LMGT3 will be Alexis Harrington pole position ahead of Sam Gaskell in second place. Porteo in third, Pedersen fourth. Christian Malguera rounding off the top five. It's Patrick Schindler in P6. Thomas Lydon seventh. Luke Whitehead disappointing down in eighth. Hamadani in ninth. And then Manisha rounding off the top 10. And then to end off the grid, we had Delorme, Bessier, Kolosov, Lay, Hanna, Heno, and Le Mans, the top 17. Heading into this one, and look at that gap there, Chris. Just over a second, the top 13. So once again, heading into the race, it's going to be stupidly close between these drivers. And I think, yet again, it's going to be strategy, which could play into a lot of these guys a little bit further down, moving forward. I mean, look at the gap there between Bessier and Hanna. It's not even, what, 40,000th, and there's 4 cars.
Yeah, that is exactly it, isn't it? Another one of our reserves is at the 13th place, Vladislav Kolosov. I hope I've got that somewhere near right. In the Lamborghini, the number 76 car, joining us for the show. I think we've seen Kolosov before in Platinum, but good to see that he is with us. Yeah, you were mentioning earlier, we've got a great turnout. 17 of our participants in our GT3s, 20 of our participants are hypercars. So 37 cars will be doing battle here. Let's have a look at the championship standings. Fabio Grigoletto, our current champion, picking up where he left off. He, again, another double victor. He won last time out in Spa in the Cadillac. He leads by quite a commanding margin, nearly 40 points over Brandon Geitz in the Peugeot, also taking a race win at Silverstone. Isaac Gillison in the Ferrari, just 1 point behind him. He's actually a reserve driver, but he's up in third, taking a very dominant win in Paul Ricard and seeing the podium last time out in Spa, but we didn't see him in Fuji, and a DNF at Silverstone has hindered his efforts. Sven Gilhead is in fourth, Marco De Bueno fifth, Yone Simoncic, I believe, is not with us, in the Valkyrie in sixth, with Dario Yemelo in seventh, Arda Erchan in eighth, Johannes Price in ninth, and Matthias Latau rounding out the top 10. Now, Arda Erchan is listed in eighth, but he has had a car change, so he will be resetting his points. His car change takes effect from today. So he was in eighth position in the championship. Also, Leonardo Pisoni, we can see there, listed in 13th, but he has also had a car change, so his points have been reset. So it's just their positions in the championship have yet to be corrected. David Nashkadashvili on 18, Henrik Gamble on 12, then Paul Puo in 14th. We now elevated to 13th in Cadillac. Rafael Bila in what is now 14th. Marco Cantor now 15th. Maurice Ulrich, Giuseppe De Noia, Jimmy Menard, I believe Jimmy's not with us, and Michi Hoyer. Several of these following a car change are on zero, but yet to get off the mark, as we see. 20 of them will be taken to the track. And now they should be on track now, so you can see there's less than 10 minutes left of the session, so the hypercars should now be taken to the field.
Indeed, so 7 of the cars have had a change. But of course, we had that hypercar tire model change, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe about a month ago now. So, of course, it was expected that a few of them would make their changes, as if you know, on the track, starting their first laps, of course, you know, they're going to take 2 or 3 laps to get up to temperature with the tyres before they can start setting their representative times, as here is Pisoni, who has made one of the car changes from last time out. He's now in the Ferrari here for Tatum Restek, so we'll see what he can do in this session, and then everybody else as well, all making their way out onto track. Here's Marco De Buono also with the Tatum Restek team. A few team members from Tatum here racing in VMS, and I think that's one thing I've noticed recently is a lot more teams now are getting involved in these, you know, individual championships. And it just shows that, you know, a lot more are looking at making LMU rosters. Some of those that are from Formula One, some of them are from iRacing, and it just shows there's a lot more seriousness now around the Le Mans Ultimate scene, which of course is benefiting everybody.
Yeah, very, very true. So we now look at Isaac Gillison in the Ferrari. He's towards the tail of the field, so he's got to be careful of tripping over those ahead of him. We want to get the tyres in good order. There's Erchan now having swapped to Cadillac. What was Arda in previously? He was in the Toyota, was the Turkish driver. So he is now swapped to the American brand. What he is able to do with that. There is Marco Cantor in the Peugeot. Oh dear, you can't park there, sir. That is Michi Hoyer. What has happened to him?
I think he's had a hardware issue, 'cause it looks like he's either locked up or he's just pulled over to the left-hand side. Watching Michi Hoyer here, I think that's
a technical problem. Or maybe he's had a phone call.
Could be, yeah. Just pulled over and thought, hang on, 1 minute, we'll go back to racing. And here he is, back out driving once again. We do have Marco Cantor to go quickest so far in the Peugeot at 1:53.142. There's a few more cars are also putting their lap times in. Denoyer as well, up into second, making it a Peugeot 1-2 at the start of qualifying. But I remember last time I was here in Silverstone, the Peugeot was absolutely flying with, I think it was Brandon Gates and Johannes Priest who were flying up at the front. So yeah, expect a lot from the Peugeots, I'd say, tonight, if you know, it's anything to go by looking at Silverstone.
Well, Brandon Gates was top of the podium in, it was a podium 1-2, Peugeot 1-2, wasn't it? With Brandon Gates, Johannes Price taking the second spot. It was Marco De Bueno in the BMW that rounded out the podium. Silverstone, well remembered indeed. The boo car changes. Well, they are allowed to, but they suffer the point penalty as a result of it.
Yeah, they have not. No.
And they indeed. Yeah, I mean, they're just making their own life more difficult as we look at our current champion and championship leader, Fabio Guglielmo. That is a reserve coming in, the number 6 Cadillac of I think that's pronounced Vanna. Again, I wait to be corrected on that one. I'm going to pronounce it as Vanna, as Wanna doesn't. I'm sorry, that just does not sound right. It's Jonas Vanna. But yeah, your earlier prediction of Peugeot being prominent is certainly proving true. Top 3 currently in the French mark.
Yes, indeed. So very nice so far from the Peugeots, as here is Cantor once again looking to improve. Has spent a lot of time, of course, as the tyres are warming up, and it's a 46.3. So we are starting to get now some more times that are getting close to being our representative ones of what we'll see come the end of qualifying, as Denoyer goes second, Pisoni improves up to third, Bueno fourth, and then Menard the top 5 at the moment. Paul Puo up to P6 in the Cadillac. Nice to see Paul up in the top 10, but of course he's still quite a way off the top times, so he'll have to find some big improvements. And here is Dario Yamullo again, another driver who we expect to see right up near the top. And given his P7 in the standings and only 1 podium, I don't think that representative of how good he's been so far this season. I think he's easily been one of the best. I don't think he should be in 7th, but it's about getting points on the board and not just looking fancy on track, isn't it?
That's the thing, isn't it? It's not where you start, it is where you finish. And Yamillo's not had the rub of the green thus far, but now the tower starting to form. Cantor at the top, Denoyer in second. Vanna has now jumped up into 3rd position. Again, another reserve driver that is really making a mark here. Good to see Michi Hoyer has got a time on the board. So, yeah, following the car change to the Ferrari for Michi, didn't finish in Silverstone last time out. So, looking to try and make good on his car change. We are currently looking at Giuseppe Denoyer, purple sector 1, personal best in sector 2 thus far. Able to close in on that very impressive time set by Marco Cantor. Let's see what Giuseppe can do. Oh dear, problem for Ulrich. That is not what you want to see. Still 4 minutes left of the session left, as Cantor has set a new pole time right ahead of Denoyer. So what on earth happened to Moritz Ulrich?
On the pits, on the exit with the cold tyres, hasn't he? I think.
Or someone. Oh, he's retired. It looks like he's pulled that over on his own.
Never mind. I thought maybe he's worked the pits at a speed and he's messed the tyres up. I'm not sure, but yeah, not ideal at all for Ulrich, who's then in 18th, as here is.
He is back out again. So yeah, that's the tower getting confused. So
yeah.
Brandon Gates currently 4-2. Oh, Moritz Ulrich is having trouble by the look of it. So that's a bit of a shame for him. But let's see what Brandon Gates can get on the board. He was second last time out. Let's see what he can do here. Over the line, up into 4th. Good improvement there. Once again, the Peugeots reasserting their dominance at the top of the tree.
Yes, definitely. And we'll see if Johannes Priest can get up there as well. And Stribbenreich down in 20th. We'll see if they can make it to Peugeot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like what we saw with the Ferrari in Silverstone, pretty much. No, I think one of the races we saw Ferraris all up at the top. It might have been Fuji, I think. There is Arda Ercan moving up places, goes into P12. Not where we normally expect to see Arda Ercan, as there is damage on that car of Ulrich, as he's making his way around the circuit, it seems. It's not the very quick speeds. And then also Fabio Grigoletto, our championship leader, heading into this one, 2.5-ish tenths away from pole, and he's sitting down in P5. 4 tenths here separates the top 9. Brilliant to see so far. And of course, a much improved qualifying here by Michi Hoyer, yet to score points this season, even before the car change. He's now in the Ferrari, a DNF last time out in Spa, but he seems a lot stronger heading into this one, as Grigoletto very quick in that middle sector, Chris.
That he is. Purple sector 2, but slight time loss in sector 3. Still jumps Dario Yamalo. Well, it jumped in briefly, Fabio Grigoletto up into second, but he's just been pushed down to third, and now down into fourth, as Isaac Gillison has upset the Peugeot parade and stolen away the pole time. 1:45.6 for Isaac Gillison. Nicely done. Michi Hoyer in the Falcon Ferrari up into 9th position now. So still improvements being found. Or Maurice Ulrich flirting with the grass on the outside of turn 1. Still going, the Swiss driver, the Fisher Esports runner, as Vanna, who was in the top runnings earlier on, just improved on the tower into 10th position. 1 minute to go. We're very much in the Banzai phase, as I would call it.
Hey, we got it. Boom. I didn't have to ask for it.
That's another name I'm less familiar with. The one in 11th position, Alex Seibel, in the Cadillac. So another
new to the scene. Well, new to the league, I should say, at least. I'd imagine he's been driving a lot here because he's very quick, isn't he?
Isn't he just in the Falcon colours, in the Cadillac, only half a second off of the top time. So again, it's great to see the new names really making a statement to the establishment. Love to see it. Definitely.
As Geet's improved up to P2 now. Great lap from him as Cantor is back in the pit lane. Geets has got into an issue in sector 2, and I think that might just be him ending his session. As Menard up to P8 now. Denoya, I think, might be done in 9th, as we see Pisoni improve up to 13th. And here is Isaac Gillison, of course, already has that pole position, but would like to stretch it a little bit further so he doesn't have to worry about Yamolo and Grigoletto behind, looking to improve. And yes, he was barely down in all 3 sectors, but he's just about a 10th off of his personal best lap. But I'd imagine we still have Yamolo and Grigoletto to keep an eye on if they can try and challenge that pole position, or maybe Arda Ercan here, 2.7 tenths off, but found a lot of time in that first sector.
He's lost a tiny bit of that in sector 2. As Isaac Gillison has probably pulled over somewhere. See, Jimmy Menard is on the table in one of our Peugeots, so Jimmy wasn't certain he could make it tonight. Good to see that he has come along. But let's keep an eye on the Falcon Cadillac of Arda Ercan, the number 33 car. Can he improve from 6th? Let's see how this final sector looks. 1:45.664 the target. 1 more second. He's got the front row by 47 thousandths of a second behind Gillison. That's an improvement. Very much the Peugeot parade has now been very much pushed down.
Indeed, so still some improvements to come through as Marco De Buono finding little bits of time in the first and second sector. A driver we expect to be up in the top 5, not struggling down in 18th, not been a good session so far for Marco De Buono. Of course, in the championships, it's P5, 2 podiums to his name this season, so we expect to see him a lot higher than where he is at the moment as he makes his way through into the final corner, bumping around through Sunset Bend as he makes his way up to the line. What will it be here for Marco De Buono? Will he improve any higher than 18th place? No, stays down in 18th, the second off. Here is Dario Yamolo. Can he fight for pole position up to the line? Goes 4th quickest, 1.2 tenths from pole. But yet again, the gap's very, very limited here. 4 tenths separates the top 10. 1 tenth separates the top 4.
Oh, stunning. Absolutely brilliant. This is going to be a fantastic race. That's a broken record statement, and I do not care. Let's have a look then at our hypercar grid, or hypergrid car, if you like. Isaac Ellison has the top spot, 1:45.66 for his time in the Ferrari. Then it's the Cadillac of Arda Ercan, making good on his car change. Joins him on the front row. On row 2 is Brandon Geitz, last week's podium sitter, and then Dario Yamalo joins him on row 2. Marco Cantor and championship leader Fabio Gregoletto have row 3. Johannes Price and Jimmy Menard and the Peugeots on row 4. Giuseppe Di Noia and Rafael Bila on row 5. On row 6, Michi Hoyer and current stand-in Alex Siebel, or one of the stand-ins, have row 6. Another one of our reserve drivers, Johannes Vanna, has the inside of row 7 alongside Sven Gilhead in our Soul Alpine. Leonardo Pisoni, following his car change, has row 8 alongside Paul Puo. Moritz Ulrich, who's having difficulty in the session, has row 9 alongside Marco De Buono. We don't expect to see the Italian in that far down and not setting a time. Neither of these drivers, David Nashkadashvili and Justin Stubenrauch, staying in the pit lane for this session. Well, 37 cars here in Sebring. Oh, this is going to be good.
Yes, very, very chaotic, I think is another word we can use for this. Of course, opening lap is always quite scary around here. Turn 1, just because of the fact the drivers will be on colder tyres, they're going to have to be figuring out the speed to carry in the first corner. And with a lot of overlap, it's going to make it very interesting. Then, of course, you have the heavy braking zones. Turn 2 down towards turn 5, all trying to field their way through there. I think the hypercars are going to have a more tricky time than the GT3s, just because they're a little bit more fragile than the GT3s are. They can barge and move around a little bit. The hypercars are a lot less able to do that, as we shouldn't be too far away from getting started here. Chris, now I'm going to throw the question to you of who do you think is going to win in the hypercar and the GT3 class?
Oh, you're putting the spotlight on me. You know what? I'm gonna while Alexis Heron is our GT3 championship leader with yet to finish off the podium, I reckon it's going to be Sam Gaskell. The performance we've seen from him thus far, we will see if he's able to continue that pace. But I'm very much looking forward to seeing how he does in the Merc. As for our hypercars, again, we've had a number of car changes, so it's difficult to tell. Isaac Gillison once again holding true, but I want to see Arda Ercan. Again, he's changed over to the Cadillac. So I'm voting basically for the second place in both categories. But so I'm going to go Gaskell and Arda Ercan.
Devil's advocate, I see, Chris. I mean, I'm going to go with Isaac Gillison, and that's just because I believe that he, at the moment, is probably one of the quickest on the grid because, of course, he had his winning Paul Ricard and his podium last time out to Spa. I don't think he was even here for the first round in Fuji, and then, of course, he was leading in Silverstone and had the big mistake at Farm Curve. So he could easily be one of those before podiums here, 4 in 4. So I'm going to go for another podium for him and another winner. I think he'll just about do it in the hypercar class, and then in the GT3s, I'm going to go with Sam Gaskell just because I know what he can do, and I've seen a lot from him. But, you know, Herrant and Portet and Pedersen will definitely give him a battle. But here we go, Chris. Take it away.
Make it known in chat, people. Who are you here to support? We heard a few comments in chat already. Good to see you along for the ride. Who are you here to support? Make it known, make it loud. As we come around Sunset Bend, this is where the nerves start to jangle. We've got closer to the camera, there's Isaac Gillison. Arda Ercan lead the field. Herrant and Gaskell will be leading our GT3s. I have to apologise for the traffic that you can hear outside my window. I can't do anything about them. Unfortunately, they don't understand the sim racing is life. How dare they? 1 hour 20 on the clock. We are racing here in Sebring. Oh, that's a stunning start from Ercan, though. Has he got the jump on Gillison? He's not going to have the inside, though. He's going to have to concede that. And right behind him, Daniel. Double! That's one of the Flyby cars that's gone round. Who is that? That's 3 cars. That's Menard and Beeler, I think, involved in that, and Geit, possibly the third. Oh, no, you never want to see it. Turn 1 of an hour 20's worth of racing has gone up in smoke. for several cars. That is indeed Menard Beda, 2 cars involved in that. But Gillison, Urchan and Dario Yellow up into 3rd position, lead the hypercars. Looks like the GT3s have all managed to survive the opening turns. Herrott from Gaskell from Pedersen, your top 3 of the GT3s.
It was 3-1 into turn 1. It was never going to end well, and 3 cars went off, unfortunately. And the GT3s on our screen now, it is still Alexis Herrott at the top of the leaderboard. Of course, Gaskell closing in behind, and then a good start from Pedersen has got ahead of Portau on the opening couple of corners, and then also Luke Whitehead up to P5. So he's made some early moves and looking to make another one here to go ahead of the Lamborghini of Portau as they make their way through in towards the middle part of the lap here. And then, of course, Christian Malguera looking very good behind in the Lexus, looking to try and also make some early moves. But the key thing here for the likes of Herrott and Gaskell is they know Whitehead's a quick driver, so they need to pull away as quickly as they can before he catches up. And this is a replay of the start as we're heading towards turn 1. It was 3 wide. I think it was like 3rd, 4th and 5th as they went in. One of them might have been Johannes Priest, I think, got involved as they all head their way through. Yeah, it was not go to end well, was it, when you have cars 3 wide, and then on the exit it was 4 wide for a moment.
I think just somewhat, it was a bit difficult, as I think it slightly happened off camera as Isaac Gillison's coming. Oh, that's Johannes! That's Johannes Priest that's gone round to the Peugeot. Has he retired? Has he had his own issue? Well, let's have a look at it. So coming down towards Sunset Bend for the first time in anger. What has happened to the Peugeot? Again, he did so well last time out. Gone a tiny bit deep. So, oh, that's impact. 2 cars as well. Oh,
People.
That's Denoyer that he tangled with. So that is Johannes Priest. I'm assuming he is out. Yeah. So Denoyer is retired as well. So both of those cars are out of the race. Yeah, as Jimmy Renard is gone into the pit. Oh my goodness me! It is chaos, and we're only a lap into the race here in Sebring.
Yeah, 1 hour and 17 minutes to go. We've had 3 minutes and already 3 retirements pretty much in this one. A big chaotic start, but that's what we expect for Sebring. It's a very tricky track, and it really does promote some high-octane entertainment here for us watching live. The series battle for... Oh no, this is a replay here of Manisha in the Corvettes, heading his way through. What has happened as he had a spin. Oh, looks like just... Oh no, he's going back into the pit lane. Oh, he stopped and almost hit him. That would have been Menard. Oh dear me, he stopped on the entrance to the pit lane and Menard's gone straight into the back of him through there. And that is not what he would have wanted, but here is the battle for 3rd between Yamullo and Cantor as Menard's had another issue, I think. It's yellow flag in second 3.
Why I'm confused. Why on earth did Artem Manisha come to a standstill in the pit lane entry? That's baffling. I have no idea. He's actually, we've lost, according to the timing screen, 5 cars. Manisha, Brandon Geitz has retired. 4 of our retirements are Peugeots. Denoyer, Price, Menard, and Geitz have all retired their cars. And have retired their hypercars. Manisha is the last of those. Stephen Rack and Neski Desperately did not start this race, so we're quite a few cars down. We are down to 30, so we've lost 7 from the initial starting roster. As Marius Pedersen gets the fastest GT3 lap, he's currently in 3rd position in our Aston. He chases Sam Gaskell, as we can see here. Alexis Herrott still leading the way, but his mirror's very full of the bright Falcon livery of Sam Gaskell.
Definitely. And I love that graphic at the bottom. Battle for P1. It's got the top 6 in it. Herrott, Gaskell, Pedersen, Porter, Whitehead and Malgera. A big battle between those guys, and I think one that could probably go on all race long. Of course, Alexis Herrott will be looking for his 3rd win of the season, his 5th podium, and that, of course, we've only had 5 rounds, so he's very hot on the heels up at the front, and of course would help him pull away even more from Luke Whitehead in that championship to, potentially put that gap up to around 40 points with only 3 rounds to go with Interlagos, Monza and Le Mans. So, of course, it's still a big race for him to kind of get things a little bit swept up early, as here is Luke Whitehead on the back of Portown as they head their way through, and still no move on the cards here for Luke Whitehead, but you'd imagine he'll be quite eager to go through because we all know he's also a driver who should be up there fighting for podiums, race in, race out, and sitting P5, you're not that close to the leader at the moment, as here is the battle for third once again in the hypercars, and Arthur Gillison now with the fastest lap. But of course for him, it's about pulling away and getting a nice gap early on as Cantor looking for the move.
Getting a bit impatient there is Marco Cantor, right behind Dario Yemelo, challenging for that last step on the podium. And what is going on with these guys, you are absolutely right, is a few people losing their heads, unfortunately. That is the nature of racing, particularly here in Sebring. It's been a while since I've commentated with Nathan. You are absolutely right. It has been too long. It's been
well,
2 rounds.
I could say it shouldn't have happened again. I could be nice.
Look at this, our GT3s, well, a segment of our GT3s, very, very close together. Sam Gaskell has now got the fastest. I mean, the fastest lap is changing hands by like hundredths of a second. That's an inside maneuver. That's Alexander Hanna in the Lexus trying to get a move on Patrick Schindler. Oh, look at that. Look at the defensive posture Schindler's having to take. Goodness me. Very, very close. As then you've got the second of our Falcon livery cars, Thomas Leiden in the Merc, getting a little bit out of shape, coming through the twisty bits, come out through Gurney Bend. Now, you've got a lot of people very, very interested in getting on with it, but yeah, they've got to just settle into the rhythm. Easier said than done when the adrenaline is running and when you've got this many cars in very, very short order. Also, it'll be interesting to see those are maybe on a slightly different tyre strategy. I did spot someone was on the hard tyres. Well, crikey, if it's Dario Yemelo in third, he's doing a brilliant job.
He had a red symbol earlier on, so I'd imagine that's cards, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember well. I'll take that. Really good for me.
Yeah, Dario Yemelo is probably one of the few then that seems to have gone for the hard tyres.
Hey, but
he's doing a great job if that's the case.
Talking about tyre changes, I'd imagine that those on the mediums have to make a tyre change. But if Dario Yemelo's also got to make a tyre change, what's the advantage of him being on the hards? Because they'll all run to low energy anyway. So I would have imagined if they've got to make a change for tyres, why not go up with everybody else? But you say that, he looks very comfortable on those hards, doesn't he? Up at the front, really comfortable in third. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out over the race. It could be something that helps him, but it could just be another tyre. It might not make much difference. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, very true. That is my good lady that has pointed out. It's been a while since I've commentated with you. I do have a very a lot of luck in being able to commentate to my good lady. That she does enjoy being in the chat room. But good to see you, babe. Good to see you. Right, back to the racing. I suppose I better.
It's something, isn't it?
Absolutely. I suppose I better actually do the job that I'm here to do. As we now look at our lead GT3s, Sam Gaskell still riding the coattails of Alexis Heron. Lamborghini is behind, ahead of. There's Manisha. Yeah, we did see that he was in trouble earlier on. Well, so from that camera angle, it looks like they're cutting a lot of the curbs there at hairpin turn. They're not. It's just one of these things that that camera angle kind of makes it look a bit worse than it actually is. But Sam Gaskell probably just settling into the rhythm now, as they've got a long way to go. We're only 10 minutes into this race. Like I said, we've lost a number of our cars, 2 non-starters and 5 DNFs already. Oh dear. It's at that rate, we will be everybody will be dead in the next lap or so.
Yes, definitely. It's a very tricky race. I think with an hour and 10 minutes to go, that the dangerous part will be once the tyres start to die and once they start to lose grip. That's going to be when things get a bit dicey and when drivers might have to be a little bit careful when making moves because they don't want to keep shaving off that tyre wear. So yeah, I think that's going to be something to keep an eye on. Coming to the end of this stint, you know, see what sort of condition their tyres are in. Of course, we'll see that when we see some of them change for tyres and some of them not. Of course, they could also have the option just to change maybe 2 tyres. If it's the left-hand side, which I'd imagine will be quite heavy loaded in this race, maybe they'll just change those 2 if they need to. It's all depends. So we'll keep an eye on that over the course of the race. As here is Fabio Grigoletto on the back of Marco Cantor, and Pedersen once again quickest lap in the Aston Martin, but he's still in P3, so shows he's got the pace, but not quite able to make any moves just yet. And Rigoletto still looking to go ahead of Marco Cancer. Mercedes Luke Whitehead still on the back of Portao, trying to go ahead, can't quite find the move. He bounces all over the curbs through the opening couple of corners.
Adrian Portao soaking up all the pressure from the veteran of Luke Whitehead, representing Tatum Esports, who changed team this season. And he's sizing up a move on the inside line of Hairpin. Yeah, Portao knew that one was done as he's let the Mustang through. Now Adrian Portao, is he going to try and counter-attack immediately, or is he going to stay on the coattails of the British driver? We'll have to wait and see. Well, that seems to answer. He's already kind of making himself known to the mirrors of Luke Whitehead. Is Adrian Portao? Oh, bit of a tail happy moment there for the Lamborghini coming out of Tower Turn. He's going to have to keep that under control as we look at a little bit further back, Alexander Ley and Tomasz Leiden. Oops, that's what's happened to Tomasz Leiden. The Falcon Mercedes losing out to the Oplite car of Alexander Ley. That's how that position has changed hands. Fairly straightforward for Alexander Ley, up into 12.
Definitely a nice move for Ley as well, because we know that Tomasz Leiden is a very quick driver. So, you know, when you're able to get the better of him, it shows you've got some decent pace under your belt. As here is, I think Ulrich's made a mistake because we've got a yellow flag in sector 2. And there is Moritz Ulrich not being the race he would have hoped for, not being the qualifying as well that he would have hoped for. So let's keep an eye on what happens here for 288 as he's heading his way down onto the brakes. Now, is it a rear lock maybe as he goes into the corner? Oh, it isn't. A bit of lag, but I think it was just a rear lock for Moritz Ulrich. Gets going again out of tower, but not what he would have wanted at all, and drops in now down to 13th place. And Bila, surprisingly, still going after being involved in the contact at turn 1 and lap 1. Props to him for continuing on, as here is Bila, I'd imagine, in 14th, who's continuing his way through this race. But I don't think any points are on the cards for him. But looking up at the front, the gap between the top two, 2.2 seconds, Gillison to Erchan. And you'd imagine now if Gillison just holds the gap he's got, or at least tries to increase it without putting too much pressure on himself, he's looking very dandy heading in towards, you know, once we get towards the second part of the race.
Very much so, as our Hypercar leaders now are catching the GT3 field. This is the kind of very nervous time for our Hypercar leaders. The GT3 field, traditionally do not separate very quickly because their pace is very, very similar. But this could really push Isaac Gillison back. He'd open a 2.5-second lead over Arda Erchan before catching the back markers. See how our field navigate through the field. I did see the comment about super clipping. It's nice to watch a race without super clipping, said LJT. Good to see you. And then Ibram saying just super clipping into each other. It's unfortunate, but that is sadly true. As what's happened thus far. But flash of the lights there. I think that's to the GT3, not Grigoletto flashing at Marco Cantor, because Marco Cantor's not doing anything wrong. I think it's just a bit of a we're coming through. I'm fairly sure the GT3s are well aware that you're going through, Fabio, but that is what we tend to see. The lights being used to flash their way forward. Oh, that was Michi Hoyer, who's now up into 6th position, where he got a little bit uncomfortable there as he was flirting with the grass whilst trying to land the GT3 field. That was a bit of a clenching moment.
Yes, definitely. And I think a P6 here for Michi Hoyer is miles clear of his best result in the past in this season, as here's Marco Cantor now looking to try and hunt down on Dario Iummolo, looking for the move for 3rd place. Hasn't quite got the running towards the first corner, had a brilliant exit, but lost time down that main straight, and then of course can't make the move ahead of Dario Iummolo. In towards turn 2 and 3 they go. He's still stuck behind and waited now for Dario to get held up by one of the GT3s, as that will be, I think, our race leader of Alexis Everett, going wide out of turn 6 and continuing on down towards the hairpin. And that wasn't him. That would have been one of the other Lamborghinis.
I think it was Hamadani that was the Lamborghini that was a little bit popular at that particular moment. I'm pretty sure it was maybe Hamadani that was in that particular shot, as we're looking at Adrian Portao now as having the Hypercar field screening past. Then Luke Whitehead. Then, that's deep for Grigoletto. I was just unfortunate. I don't know that he did anything wrong as such. It's just because he's navigating through a very dense field of GT3s, dense as in they're closely populated. I'm not making a comment to their mental abilities. Mine are through the floor at the moment, so I'm not commenting at all on that. As we see two of the Falcon cars, the Ferrari and Cadillac of Michi Hoyer and Jonas Banner, respectively, working their way through the GT3s. That is Cantor in the Peugeot, and Grigoletto. He's not made a lot of progress through the field, has he? Is Grigoletto? Might this be the first race this season? Oh no, he has some bigger money. He has been off the podium once. He missed out in Silverstone. He was 5th there. Still holds that commanding lead. That lead may be nibbled into a little bit if he's not able to get a little bit further up the field. But Marco Cantor doing a great job fending off the advances of our championship leader.
Definitely, and I think Gillison is the main worry now for Grigoletto ahead of him. Because he knows that, you know, Gillison is a very quick driver. Yes, Brandon Gates is 2nd in the championship, but he's one of the drivers out of the race. Gillison, of course, being 3rd, he's exactly 40 points off. A win here and a P5 for Grigoletto brings it down by another 15 to around 25 points. So a big chance for Gillison here if he can take the win. And then, of course, Sven Gilhard, who is in P8 at the moment, so only a couple of points will be going his way. So he's not going to be able to capitalise off the gap he's got to Grigoletto. So, yeah, the main worry really is Isaac Gillison up in the lead. And with a 4-second gap at the moment to Arda Ercan, you'd imagine that he just looks way too comfortable, doesn't he? Just seems like there's no mistake that's going to creep out for him. But we said that in Silverstone, and then he crashed. So we've got to be very careful what we say and not to curse our leading driver. Of course, a decent gap as well for Ercan to Yamullo to around 1.8 seconds, so that's comfortable for him. And then looking a little bit further back, Van up on the back of Michi Hoyer. That's the battle for P6, and that's a good one to keep an eye on. Of course, Vanna is new here this season to Platinum, so we'll see if he can try and, you know, give us a good first impression. I think P7 so far is good, but the P6 would be even better.
Oh, there's a bit of an advert for Falcon there with 5, 6, and 7. Sorry, 6, 7, and 8 of Hoyer, Vanna, and Gilhead. Yeah, and another one behind again, the Sebring. Yeah, so 4 cars all representing Falcon there. Siebel, as they are also standing in for this race in the number 13 car. My good lady makes a good point. You missed a chaotic start there, babe, but there is nothing like waiting for the start. The adrenaline, the smell of rubber, the heat in the air, never forget that feeling. And she can certainly attest to that more than most of us can. She has done amateur racing in the past. So as we look at the start again, as we'll see, and they just, I think, I do wonder whether that was an unforced error from Brandon Geitz that sadly caused a bit of a domino effect. Because just as the camera was panning round to the right, the spin was already in place. Now, he could well have tapped someone or been tapped by someone we didn't quite see. I wonder whether, let's see it again if we can, as we're watching Jimmy Menard, who was caught up in there. So Brandon Geitz is the number 7 Peugeot. Ooh. Oh, he got squeezed by Grigoletto.
But he was also squeezed by Yamullo, wasn't he? So that's going to be an interesting one for the steward room.
Oh, I've done my fair share of stewarding. I don't fancy doing it again. So that's what caused. So it was the impact between Grigoletto and Brandon Geitz that kind of caused a domino effect there. That's a shame. But Grigoletto's still going. Yeah, the stewards may well have some unpicking to do there. Could well just be, you know, deemed a racing incident. People trying to fight for their own bit of real estate. But you know, we'll let them figure that out. Yes, that will be interesting for us. Yeah, I don't envy you on that one, Daredevil. So yeah, good luck with it. I would offer, but I'm not going to. No, I'm kidding you. So then the race now settling down. Arda Ercan's just set the fastest lap, as we can see, closing in by about 0.3 of a second on Isaac Gillison. That gap. Let's wait for the tower to update. About 3.2 seconds between the Ferrari and the Cadillac. So it's Gillison, Ercan, and Yamalo, your top 3 in hypercars. Herod, Gaskell, and Pedersen still your top 3 GT3s.
I noticed that gap flew down to around 3.2 seconds, and those guys aren't in traffic at the moment, so it's not like they're losing time due to that. And I thought, oh, maybe Gillison's made a mistake, but he's also put another second on Dario's head. So Ercan here really picking up the pace with around an hour to go. As here's a move for 14th. There's Lemoine and Heno battling for that spot. Of course, nowhere near the points, but given the way the races go, sometimes there might be 14th and 15th there. That could easily be 10th and 11th by the end of this next hour of racing. Of course, ahead of them are the two Mercedes of Lydon and Lay. And I've got to say, surprised to see Thomas Lydon so far down. I mean, qualifying wasn't his best today, but also the start of the race didn't go too well. Oh, and that's going to be Alexandre Lay into the barriers. And just as I say, you can be a few positions higher. Lay crashes at turn 1.
So what has happened here to the Oplite Mercedes? Looks like it's an unforced error. Yeah, it's caught the bumps wrong. Round goes the tail, and that's a souvenir for one of the marshals. I think he just pulls over and retires that. It doesn't even attempt to limp that one home. Oh dear, never want to see it, but an unforced error, and Sebring is notorious for it. Have we got a replay here of Lexus error? No, I think it's just the replay hasn't unfiltered itself. There we go. As we now look at Thomas, yeah, as you say, we don't usually expect to see Thomas Lydon down the field in the Falcon Mercedes, but that is where he finds himself being chased by Julian Heno, doing exactly what you were just saying there, Nathan. You know, you've got to be in the right place at the right time, and that's an easy pickup for them. If we have a few more problems through the field, it could well spell more points for them. Now, somebody did watch Manisha start, is what we're doing. Artem Manisha in the Corvette. What was the him?
We're watching Lydon, not Manisha.
Oh! That's what happened to Artem Manisha. He smashed into the side of Brandon Gates. He
made like 6 positions there. He got past 4, then got past another 2, but then of course you had Brandon Gates' car in the way, so then it ended up not making any moves and put him into the
yeah. Such a shame, because he would have really been focused on trying to pick his way through the field. He had nowhere to go. Yeah, absolutely nowhere to go. And that wasn't, nothing that Brandon Gates could have done anything about. He was recovering from the spin. Yeah. That's such a shame. That is such a huge shame. As we now cut back to Alex Herent and Sam Gaskell with Marius Pedersen in the background in the Aston Martin.
Oh, Portau!
What's happened to Adrian Portau? He's falling down the field. We can get a replay of that. What has happened to the Lamborghini? Too deep, is he? Or is it? Oh, yeah, that's the curb. It's caught him. Well, he's kept it out of the wall. Ooh! That was a... okay. You had to prove me wrong, didn't you, Adrian?
He kept it out of the wall for the most part until he decided to turn into it. Well, not turn into it, he was trying to turn out, but he didn't have the turning circle to do so, so he ended up popping into the barrier. That's probably a lot quicker than trying to reverse and go back and do a 5-point turn. But yes, not good at all for Portau, who was ahead of Malgera, and I thought I noticed a change, and then I saw the Lamborghini dropping down the field. Now to Pete, and as one as well has made a mistake. He's got yellow flags out in Sector 2 in that Mustang, so you can see him there just slowly recovering from whatever happened. But of course, him making a mistake does bring Marin Bessier into the equation for 14th. So here's a replay of Lamont heading into the braking zone. Is it a rear lock? Or is it on the traction on the exit? Yes, it's traction on the exit. Puts his foot down way too heavy. And yeah, loses time and also mows a little bit of grass.
I've been many a virtual lap.
Oh, that was Beeler going back out on track, not Brandon Gates.
It was Beeler. No, I beg your pardon. But yes, that will be... I've been many a virtual lap up there at Tower Turn, so fully understand what he's done. A Falcon pair are still together, Michi Hoyer and Johannes Vanna. Do they still have their chasing Falcons as well? We wonder, but that's still for 6th position. That is championship leader Fabio Grigoletto ahead. Yep, there's the next of the Falcons, and there's the next of the Falcons. It'll be a wonderful advert for them if they were a bit closer together, but that's such is the nature of things. Gilhead ahead of Alex Siebel now, but Johannes Vanna in his first race in Platt doing a fantastic job. I mean, it's not Michi Hoyer is no slouch by any stretch of the imagination. He's done a brilliant job in staying with him. They're only about a second or so behind. Well, there you go. There in that shot, you can see Fabio Grigoletto and Marco Cantor. As the tower is looking at the virtual energy amount, fairly unilateral, not much sway, between 49 and 51% for our hypercars, about 46 and 49% or so for our GT3. So not a massive amount of difference. So they're halfway through the tanks. As a reminder, they are not allowed to run out of virtual energy. It is a huge penalty if they do. If they run the tank down to zero, they are penalized quite heavily for that. So they will be very, very... Some people do throw the dice. We saw a few sub 1% on the virtual energy last time out in Spa. It was probably the worst place to play Russian roulette with your fuel tank. Oops, as that's Remy DeLorme flirting with the grass on the exit of Le Mans curve. He was not as bad, but he's still a 2-minute lap. So if you are playing Russian roulette with your fuel tank, you may well find you'll come off much worse for it. But we will see what our drivers choose to do. A bit of a distance between now and the predicted pit stops. See what they choose to do. We continue to watch this battle for six. Mehdi Hamadani in the Lamborghini, Remy DeLorme in the Lexus.
I think the big thing for this race is not necessarily that they've got to pit and that they've got to, get back up to full energy. I think the main thing is what they do with their tyre situation. Some of them might risk it. If you're a little bit further down, why not try something different? If you think you can go to the end but you'll struggle, try it, why not? You'll have drivers that might change all 4 tyres, some that might just change 2, but then you've got Dario Yamullo, who's on the hards, who we still don't have a clue what he'll do. If me and Chris were good at the game when we drove a lot, we probably would have an idea, but we don't. We have to guess and hope we're right. So we'll keep an eye on that, as he was, Michi Hoyer being overtaken by Jonas Vanna, and of course being in the same team. Not an idea to kill both of yourselves at Sunset Bend, so he didn't let him through, but he didn't fight him, did he? And sometimes that's a little bit better than fighting it and risking both of you being out of the race, because we know with LMU, you're into the wall, it's not you toe back to the pits and you go again. You're out, out, out.
Yes, indeed. Oh! That's Dario Yamullo going too deep at turn 1 and losing that spot to Marco Cantor. Oh, that was moving close. So I think we're going to see that again. So if the camera would make up its mind in what direction it's going to point it. So watching Marco Cantor, you'll see on the right-hand side, yeah, it's the hard shot Ferrari of Dario Yamullo, just going too deep at turn 1 and down into 4th. So that is Peugeot up into the top 3 then. Right behind them is Fabio Guglielmetto, and only 1.5 seconds behind them is the Falcon pair of Jonas Vanna and Michi Hoyer, as this group finds some more GT3s to have to work their way around.
Yeah, certainly. They're getting their way through the GT3s, and the good thing is, as the race goes on, that gap between all the GT3s will get bigger, so they haven't got to worry eventually about them all being a big plane together. Those gaps will increase. They already have done a lot compared to when they first made their way around, passing the GT3s, as we do see Guglielmetto now closing down on Dario Yamullo, of course, looking to go into 4th place and make some moves in this race. Of course, Marco Cantor very lucky to have got Yamullo off the track, but of course he's also had the pace, so it's not the fact he's lucky that he's there, he's just lucky that the mistake happened at that moment, because I think inevitably at one point he probably would have gone for a send and got the move, because he's looked so quick on the back of Dario. It was just a bit of a when not if he would make the move. And then of course looking a little bit further down, both Vanna and Hoyer have caught up to the rear of Fabio Guglielmetto, so the battle for fifth is on between the 2 Cadillacs and the Ferrari, so we'll have to keep an eye on that one. And then of course looking in the GT3 category, there's always close gaps, within maybe a second, a couple gaps over a second, but not until like the final half an hour do we really, well maybe even the final 20 minutes, do we really see them ever make moves. They're just happy to sit behind each other and continue running on. They're not really too keen on making early moves, are they, as much?
Oh, this is Vanna and Guglielmetto. Well, that gap has disappeared in a hurry. It was about 1.5 seconds when we last looked. But Guglielmetto may well have just been caught out. Vanna really getting interested in the Falcon Cadillac and trying to make a move on the champion, but no dice here. Oh, that's trouble. Oh, he's lagged. Don't do that.
I thought, he's got a crack, never mind.
Yeah, I was thinking, he's in desperate trouble, but a bit of lag moment there for the Tatum Cadillac. That's an unusual distraction tactic. Maybe that's a Tatum special. Lag and confuse the commentators. But
feelers out as well.
oh no, yeah, that is another retirement. Then the Ferrari of Rafael Bila has parked it down to 13 hypercars remaining. We started with 20 and down to just 13 of them. Well, that did include 2 non-starters, in fairness. So, how many, place your bets now, how many cars are we going to be left with at the end of the day? As we now look at Marius Pedersen in the Aston Martin, still in the tyre tracks of Sam Gaskell. They've been glued together all race long, and there is the hypercar battle we were just talking about. Someone off the 5th, Cricket and Vanna. That's Dario Yamalo and Marco Cantor. Not far ahead of this dueling pair. Oh, Vanna looking very close now. Is he going to try and make the move? Grigoletto goes very, very defensive coming up towards Tower. And it's going to force the Falcon Cadillac to the outside. No dice there, but he's not waiting for the laps to just tick down, is he? Yeah, Jonas Vanta. Oh, as Grigoletto gets a little bit uncomfortable coming past. That's one of the Lambers, I think. Oh, that's Alexis Herrett, GT3 leader. That was, well, minding his own business, quite frankly. But Grigoletto, he's having to be defensive against Jonas Vanna. I mean, again, if you want to make a statement of intent, making the champion go defensive, that is a big old statement.
It is. And also, it's limiting Grigoletto of moving forward and chasing down on Dario Yamula. That gap was around a second. It's now 1.5. So it's costing him time, and that is not what he wants heading into this one with 47 minutes to go in this race. So shortly coming up towards the halfway point in around 10 minutes time. And here is Jonas Vanna and Fabio Grigoletto battling for 5th place as they head back into turn 1. And then looking a little bit further back as well, it does seem that they've dispatched Michi Hoyer, and that could be why. Maybe it was a bit of a call there from Jonas Vanna saying, right, I'm a little bit quicker, Michi, let me through, and you know, we can work together and pull each other along. And so far it's worked because they're still together, but I'd say that Vanna's been a bit more of a threat on Grigoletto than Michi Hoyer has, so it could still work out for these two here. Of course, swapping positions earlier on, as here is the battle for first here, Alexis Herrett and Sam Gaskell, 2 very quick drivers, of course. Sam, one of the reserves, and Alexis Herrett, our championship leader, heading into this race. So a great battle between those two. Then, of course, behind them is Pedersen and Whitehead, who are also very quick and will be looking to hunt down for the top 2 positions as the race unfolds and for them hopefully comes to them as we continue our way on. And battle-wise, it is all starting to calm down a little bit here, Chris, but it's expected until the pit stop phase. At some point, everybody's quite happy where they are and just sits there until things start to change around.
Very true, minus for a few opportunistic moments, such as we were seeing from Jonas Vanna previously, as we continue to watch back from Fabio Grigoletto at the aforementioned Falcon Cadillac. They are now on the Ormond Straight. I think they've dispatched all of the traffic that is around them for the time being. Such a weird camera when you're staring backwards. There's always such a weird feeling. Oh, it is for me anyway, as that was Marco Cantor we briefly looked at. So yeah, exactly as you say, Nick. Nathan. So I knew I would do that at some point. The battles have broadly dispersed. Oops, as that is Vanna flirting with the grass on the outside of turn 1. It does look like he's starting to push a little bit more to try and close back in on Grigoletto. We can see the last laps was slightly by a couple of tenths in Vanna's favour. That was his best lap of the race thus far. Closing in on Grigoletto. A little bit of a look on the inside of the hairpin turn. Way too far back to make a move. I'm keeping an eye as well on the lead of the hypercars. Ida Erchan and Isaac Gillison has slowly worked his way down, although that gap seems to have stabilized a little bit at around about 2 seconds between Isaac Gillison and Ida Erchan. But yeah, exactly as you say, Nathan, the post pit stop is when life is going to get very interesting. Now, Marin Bessier has actually come into the pit. That's interesting. It was around about 28 or so percent still in the tank for him. He's decided to bring the Mustang in early. We'll see how that pays off, and we are, you know, at the halfway stage now. So he could just be dividing the race in half. See if Marin Bessier really has not had the kind of luck that he deserves. He was the champion in the Aston Martin last time out. He switched to the Mustang and just has not rediscovered that early fall. Oh, Alderochan, he's heard me mention his name as, oh, that's a challenge. Remy Delorme and Mehdi Hamadani, the Lamborghini a little bit too deep. Open the door for the Lexus. He's going to get it done by the time they get to Tower. Still side by side, coming through Collier. And that is job done, is it, for Remy Delorme? I think it is. Yep, he's going to be able to keep the Lamborghini behind. Good move there. Well defended from Hamadani. No dice, as that is Alexander Lay. That's Bessier that is now on the move in the Mustang. So see if he's able to claw back in any of his lost time. Oh, that was Grigoletta getting a bit uncomfortable now under all the pressure from the Falcon driver. Vanna is making the move. Can he capitalize on that mistake from the Italian? And no, Vanna's going to be kind of forced to the outside line. That's Cunningham now coming through Collier. They're still side by side. No, the Falcon Cadillac forced back. Thought about the inside maneuver coming into Tower. Can't get it done. But Vanna, he really is hustling hard to try and make that 5th position. Same compound of tyre, near enough the same amount of virtual energy in the tank. Well, again, you want to make a statement, Johannes Vanna is going the right way about it.
He's got some great pace, hasn't he? And he's looking to just push on here. And if he can't get the move done in this first stint, he might even just wait for the pit stops and go again, because he looked really strong to Johannes Vanna. Of course, first time here in the Platinum Split, at least I think it's his first time here in the Platinum Split here for VMS. So we'll have to see what he can do as the race goes on. But very strong way to enter your way into the championship, as he's got a good line into turn 1. Easy go for the inside line. He certainly is to go ahead of our championship leader, who sits in P5. It's a battle for 5th. It's side by side, a little bit deep for Grigoletto into the gravel as they head out to turn 1 into turn 2. It's the inside line here for Jonas Vanna. He's still going to stick it inside. Off the track goes Grigoletto, and through goes Jonas Vanna. The move that was probably going to happen, whether it was this lap or in another 10 laps time, unless Grigoletto could fight back as they head down towards the hairpin. It's the inside line for the Falcon Sim Racing driver. So they head onto the brakes, and I think that could be move complete as Vanna sends Grigoletto deep, and that allows Michi Hoyer to get on the attack.
Yeah, it was Grigoletto was a bit compromised coming through Tower, comes through hairpin then. So that's given Michi Hoyer a run. He just ran out of space, side by side again, coming into Tower between Vanna and Grigoletto. Oh, I think again Michi Hoyer had a thought, had to think about trying the outside maneuver. There was not quite enough space for him to do so. I mean, Michi Hoyer, great to see him really getting stuck in. He's not had, he's had terrible luck for probably about a season and a half now. But now the German driver, very much meaning business. Grigoletto, you saw he was not happy about that small mistake he made. He tried desperately to get back ahead of Vanna. That's to no avail. Back onto the Allman straight. Now, is Vanna going to be able to stretch his legs, or is he going to just maintain the pace? What's Michi Hoyer going to do? And there's that advert for Falcon again. We've got 4 Falcon cars in that shot. But Michi Hoyer, well, what's he going to do? Is he going to just sit in the tyre tracks of Grigoletto, because he could save that little bit of fuel, maybe go a lap later, maybe have a shorter pit stop than those around him? We will have to see. So I would think Michi Hoyer, if he gets the opportunity, going to make the move.
Definitely. He wants to make the move as well. You can see he's eager as they head into turn 2. Grigoletto defending that inside line slightly as they head onto the brakes, and still Hoyer on the attack as they head in towards turn 4 and 5. A bit of a slide though for Grigoletto on the brakes. Through Big Ben they go down to the hairpin. I don't think there'll be a chance here for Michi Hoyer, but I don't think that chance is that far away. And Grigoletto, of course, yes, got a win last time out, but ever since that tyre model change, he doesn't seem the same driver. I remember back in Fuji and also in Paul Ricard, he was absolutely flying, and you think, hang on, I don't think anybody's quicker than him. Since the tyre change, he's not been the same. So it's a bit of a shame for Grigoletto, who looks like sixth. He's probably going to be his best here in this race, unless there's any issues up front, because his pace just isn't there like it used to be. And Michi Hoyer, he's certainly going to be hungry and looking for that P6 spot. As looking at the energy now for our drivers, there is around 20% the hypercars, the GT3s between 17 and 20. So there we are. There's Niclas gets it up on our screen. So the top four will be in very shortly. Is that somebody off into the gravel? That's Passoni, another retirement in the hypercar category.
What has happened to Leonardo Passoni? He's just swapped over to this Ferrari as well. What has happened here?
Krylov?
Oh, yeah. And, well, he kept it out of the wall, but I imagine it's just frustration has gotten the best of the Tatum Esports driver. He swapped from the BMW to the Ferrari. Alas, that is another retirement. 12 remain of our hypercar battles. Of our hypercar cars, as we watch the battle between Grigoletto and Michi Hoyer. You can see Grigoletto still feels the need to keep the German driver behind him. He's not just, just counting the laps down. He is still having to defend. And he still knows that Falcon driver is out. I mean, you can't miss the livery, even no matter how much you try. But, Grigoletto, he knows he has to defend. He's keeping his eyes very much in his mirrors, and that's allowing... Look at the gap now that Jonas Vanna has. So as he bounces past... Oh, I couldn't quite tell which of the Mustangs that is. That might be Delorme. Oh, no, that'll be Bessia. That's Marine Bessia that they're now working their way past. No, that's completely wrong. It's not Bessia at all. That's...
To be Le Mans.
It might be Lemoyne, yeah, you might be right there. And there it is, it is indeed Lemoyne, yeah, well spotted. Yeah, good. Yeah, nicely done. I'll hang up my hat, you've got the job. Oh, Hoyer! He was too late on the brakes, or he just had an overspeed. Oh, Grigoletto's in the pit. No, that's what it was. So Grigoletto was, I wonder if he was just trying to bleed off the speed to come into the pit lane that caught Michi Hoyer out, or combination of the two factors. Yeah, so and that's just an unfortunate byproduct of where that pit lane entry is. So Michi Hoyer, I mean, he had to take avoiding action. Yeah, Grigoletto did the right thing. He committed to the pit lane entry at the right time. It just caught Michi Hoyer out, so no harm, no foul there. So that's Grigoletto in, as well as Julian Heno from the GT3 contingent have made their stop then.
Of course, the key thing here will be tyre changes. What sort of tyre changes do the drivers make? Because that can be something that can change the race. Even though Grigoletto's in P6, if he makes the right choice with tyres, that could reward him with a podium. You never know. Tyres really make a big difference. I think probably the biggest difference in this top level, because the pace is very similar, so that's not really much of an indicator all the time, because the pace is very similar. If you just start a little bit lower, you're naturally going to fall down in terms of in terms of your time to the leader. Of course, energy, you all hit on very similar laps, so it's really down to tyres and strategy, isn't it, at that point?
Yeah, absolutely true. And they're not having to fuel the virtual energy to full, because there's only 35 minutes left of the race, so they're going up to around about 75% or so. Oh, hello. That's a line. Who was that took a very alternate route? This Yamalo. I wonder whether his tyres are letting go, because remember he started on the hard tyres, and I think he's caught the snap. Mind you, his tyres, everyone's on the mediums are behaving themselves. I can't imagine the hard tyres are misbehaving. So not quite sure what happened there with Yamalo. But yeah, he took a bit of an alternate line. I think that's Michi Hoyer, one of the Falcon cars, working their way through. That is indeed Michi Hoyer working their way through this particular pack of GT3s. That's Portal on the back of Patrick Schindler. More Falcon advertising. I say that because, I mean, obviously we are staring at Adrian Portal, who's an Alfa car, as that's not very good letter, it's a Siebel that's in. But the Falcon livery is just the one that's the brightest. A lot of people have got black in their livery, which, don't get me wrong, I think they're brilliant liveries, but the Falcon just stands out.
It most certainly does. As here is Pedersen and Whitehead. It's going to be, well, they're not really having a battle at the moment. It's just one of the hypercars going through, and that was close as Pedersen nearly hit by the Peugeot. So that would have been Marco Canter. And then, of course, behind is Luke Whitehead, who will be hunting down for a podium, I'd imagine, in this race. And with 7% left for Pedersen, it might be this lap that he comes in. If not, it'll definitely be next lap, I think it's safe to say. As one of the Ferraris goes through. That would have been number 50, but there's no number 50 because the numbers still aren't matched up fully. So I think it would have been who would have that have gone
Yamalo.
There we go.
It's because Yamalo's running a standard livery. He's not got his own livery. That's why that's why the numbers doesn't match. I tell you what, Alexander Hanna is running very, very light on fuel, as that's Michi Hoyer that is coming into the pits now. And Alexander Hanna has come in along with Marco De Bueno and Michi Hoyer. So the pit lane now is going to get very, very busy with both our Hypercar and GT3 contingents. That's Siebel is on the road, and there is De Bueno, the treble for Tatum Esports BMW. Oh dear, a drive-through penalty. That'll be a track limits warning then. That's gone and Paul Puo. Oh, he's DNF.
Oh,
what's happened to Paul Puo? They all got a bit uncomfortable there. He sped in the pit lane. No, it looked like he came down to the right.
Has he just got annoyed and thought, oh, I've got to drive through, I'm ending it here?
Looks like it. Yeah, he's just parked it in the pit lane entry. Another of our... This is insane. We've not had this many retirements in a single race. So whatever caused Paul Puo's frustrations, it would have been a drive-through penalty that he had. And the pit lane at Sebring is not catastrophically long. It's obviously you never want to drive through the best of times, but another one falls by the wayside. 11 remain.
The worst part is for Marco De Bueno being like 5th in the championship and sitting there as the only car that is not in the points makes you feel a lot more worse about yourself than you would have done if there was another 5 cars sitting behind you. So yeah, not looking too good at all for Marco De Bueno, but he's only a second behind the back of Alex Siebel. So battle for P10, a much needed point for Marco De Bueno, a good battle to keep an eye on, as here is going to be Marco Canter heading into the pits, as well as some of our GT3s as well. I think we saw, Gaskell and Pedersen were the ones that came in, along with...
And Herod is in.
Herod, that's it, yeah. And then Whitehead and Majero carried on.
Yeah, so because the tower is changing a lot, it's difficult for me to read who's in and who isn't. So Herod, Pedersen, Gaskell, DeLorme, Schindler, and Portal have all come in. Kolosov is in. I think Leiden is also in. So a lot of our GT3s, as I thought they would, are all now streaming into the pits to get their stock dealt with. Coming out of the pits is Marco Canter. So the top 6 of our hypercars yet to see the pit lane. There's the Aston, leaving some Pirelli behind. There's Thomas Leiden as well, but no, it's Patrick Schindler that is currently front and centre. Another one of the Lexus just leaving the way, so we might see a bit of a shake-up in the field. That is Remy Delorme that has come out.
Oh, some spot on the exit.
Oh dear, Schindler. Oh, he's got a reverse quick. That's such a horrible place to spin. Well, it's it'll be cold tyres.
He's changed tyres, hasn't he? That's shown us.
So
was it contact?
Oh, did he trip over the nose of the ramp? Oh, he did. That's Adrian Portal. And he's then made the decision to try and get out of the way quick. I mean, he could have tried to spin clockwise rather than anti-clockwise, but it's easy to say
Don't
that
try
from the
to
outside.
spin.
Oh dear. So he just tripped over the nose there of the Lamborghini.
Not good, really not good. And of course, I'm sure yet again that'll be another thing for the stewards to have a look at. As Gillison, Chan and Humolo are all in the pit lane too. So Vanna takes the lead. Of course, he had a little bit more energy to spare compared to some others. So Gilhood and Moritz Ulrich continue as well. And despite all the issues that Ulrich has had, he could still be on for a top 10 here, which is crazy to think.
Yeah, it was pointed out in chat earlier on. You just have to finish in the hypercar field to get a point almost. Unsafe release and forcing the exit. That was... well, we will let the stewards decide who was at fault there, whether it was the Lexus or the Lambo. I am not getting into that one. We can only judge what we see. The stewards will be able to analyse that. But more pit lane activity going on. Whitehead, Margera and Hamadani. Alexis Heron is going to take the lead of the GT3s back. Gaskell is 1.9 behind. And Pedersen is... Okay, so the times of the update is around about 2 seconds. So, as I'm talking about that, Cantor having a go at Grigoletto, who's now down to 8 in our hypercars. That is, some of our hypercars haven't pitted yet, so that is potentially why Vanna, Gilhead, and Ulrich have not pitted. Well, Vanna is in, Gilhead is in, Ulrich surely has got to be in. What's happened here between Marco Cantor? Oh, big snap there from the Peugeot. Marco Cantor having to take very avoiding move. He slots in behind Grigoletto.
Yep, slocking the raise and not good for him. But then again, we've seen that happen a lot around here. We know it's very easy to to relock these hypercars, but it's happened so much around Sebring, and I'd imagine that the bumpy surface also adds in that factor as well as it being rather hot on track. Because here is Marco De Bono, battle for 10th place, battle for the final points here. Seabull is in 10th at the moment, but has got a long 27 minutes to go to keep Marco De Bono behind as they make their way out of tow up. Continue on, and you'd imagine really that Seabull will be looking to... that De Bono will be looking to make that move sooner rather than later here, because he's got a lot of pace. He just can't use it until he gets ahead of the Falcon Sim Racing team driver. Is looking back up at the front again. Still Isaac Gillison is in the lead after pit stops. Jonas Vanna, has he been in? Because he's now in third. If he has done, he's not changed tyres.
He has been in as Vanna. What's happened? Oh, what's happened to our GT3 leader?
Heron.
Nope. Well, we were looking at Heron for a moment. I'm not sure what the replay was trying to show us. Sometimes, in fairness to Nick Domino, in charge of our cameras, sometimes an incident is highlighted that isn't actually an incident. So, so it does occasionally happen. But we are currently watching Fabio Grigoletto back into 6th, following pit stop, with Cantor having that argument with him, trying to dethrone him out of 6th position. It doesn't look like the Grigoletto's podium streak is going to continue. There is Michi Hoyer up into the top 5 then in the Falcon Ferrari.
Oh,
very good work indeed. And there's another one of the Falcon cars. That's Sven Gilhead just trying to hone in on the Peugeot Cadillac battle in the middle. So that could well be a 4-way fight before the flag falls.
definitely. And of course, if Jonas Vanna's not taken tyres, that could create a very interesting dynamic as well heading into the end of the race with 25 minutes to go. So we'll have to keep an eye on that gap between himself and Dario Immolo. And then, of course, we'll be able to draw some conclusions later on whether we think that Dario could make that move and go back onto the podium. But, of course, Michi Hoyer in the pit stops. He's came out 6 tenths ahead of Rigoletto, so I wouldn't imagine that he's done anything different. It's just the overcut for him has worked well, and now sits up in the top 5 and just has to keep himself calm and hopefully bring that one home. But, of course, behind him is Rigoletto, Cantor and Gilhood, who are very, very quick. So Michi Hoyer has a lot of defensive work to do to keep those 3 behind. And then, of course, in the GT3 category as well, everybody there, I believe, has also made a pit stop, and still Alexis Heron has the lead. Yet again, it's only 2 seconds, but it just seems so comfortable because he's not making any mistakes. So I think if Herrick was going deep and locking up everywhere, 2 seconds isn't good. But because of how consistent he is, that's a perfectly fine gap for him.
I've been impressed that Vanna is, chatting for his maiden race in the Platt Split. He's looking at a podium. I'm just having a quick look to see who has changed tyres. It doesn't look like anybody has changed tyres from what I'm seeing in the background source. I'll continue looking at that shortly as we are looking at Remy Delorme chasing Mehdi Hamadani in the... Is he the lead Lambo? No, Alexis Herrick's the lead Lambo. The Hypercar battle is also getting quite close, under 1.5 seconds between the Ferrari and the Cadillac. So are Gillison and Erchan. Keep an eye on that, and that is Arda Erchan working his way past the GT3 traffic. He's lost a little bit of time there, but still 23 and a bit minutes to go before the flag falls. There is Isaac Gillison, is working his way past the Falcon Mercedes. I think it'll be Leiden. Look further, but there is Jonas Vanna. Dario Yamalo stuck with those hard tyres. Curiously, he's gone that way. He's the only car to have done so. But still doing pretty well on them, it's got to be said.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I think it's just a matter of just being a little bit calm, isn't it now? Just settling in, not trying to think, oh, there's 4 cars behind me. What do I do here? If you just drive calmly and not allow that gap to close down, then, it's going to become a lot easier. I know that's a lot easier said than done. As I say that, he makes the mistake, but still, he looks quite comfortable there in P5. But I also think, as well, for Michi Hoy, we know he's a very quick driver. Has taken part in many championships, a lot of them over an R Factor and, an iRacing. He's a very quick driver. He knows how to handle the race from this point, and given that he's been handed a P5 here now, if you put a random driver there, they're probably not going to hold on to it for too long. But someone of his, of his pedigree, Michi Hoy knows exactly how to handle the situation and kind of knows where to place the car just because of how long he's been racing. I mean, he's been around for donkey's years, hasn't he?
Michi Hoy, yeah, he certainly has. And in a whole variety of different racing disciplines. So, yeah, exactly as you say, he'll know how to extract the best from his car. And this will be quite a boon to Michi Hoy. He was very much struggling earlier in the season. I'm trying to remember what car he was in originally. He was the Alpine originally. Yeah. So again, we've only got one of those in the field, as that's very close to the Mustang, but well navigated. So yeah, it was when a lot of the Hypercar field changed. That's when Hoyer changed to the Ferrari. Sadly, didn't initially pay off for him in Spa, as we've got a replay here of Marco Cantor getting very close to that that Mustang. I'm not 100% sure which Mustang that is. Oh, that's Marco Cantor getting overtaken there by Sven Gilhead. Let's see what happened to the 93 Peugeot. He's just gone in too hot into Le Mans. Was coming through Shendebian. Yeah. Oh, well held. Sign that man up to the cricket team. That was a great catch. Oh, that was one of the Lexus getting bullied out of the way by Sven Gilbert. It
was a close one, wasn't it? That to be a bit of a race ender. You hit that barrier at that angle, your race is over. As that's a big lock up as well as they head onto the brakes for Gilhood, and there's Cantor to go back up the inside and go back into 7th place. There's a bit of contact between the two as they're barging their way then in towards the next braking zone. Gilhood's got the inside, but of course on the brakes it'll be the outside line for him as they head their way down and lock up this time for Cantor. More contact between the two as they make their way out, and Cantor still holds that P7 for now, but a very scary moment for both of them. A couple of times they're making a little bit of unnecessary contact, but they still get out of it in P7 and P8. But of course that now relieves pressure for Michi Hoyer, because he's now got, of course, Brigaletta behind, but then 3 seconds back for these two. And I'm looking as well at the up at the front. So Jonas Vanna, who had a very good pit stop and is ahead of Dario Yamullo, That gap's gone up by 2 seconds. He's looking comfortable here for a potential podium on debut.
He is very much looking comfortable for that. Also, looking at the gap between Erchan and Gillison, it's come down by about 0.4 of a second. Oh no, that's a track limits violation for Tomasz Leiden. Oh dear. So the Falcon Mercedes is going to have to come through. He's down in 13th position as we're looking at Luke Whitehead, who's hustling for podium contention in GT3s. That's Marius Pedersen as Hypercars is. Oh, there's that Domino having a look on the inside of Alex Siebel. Oh, the Falcon Cadillac managing to shut the door just about on the BMW. Oh, Marco Domino gets very, very close, trying to score another point away in the BMW, but does not quite come off. It's Falcon versus Tatum for 9th position.
Indeed, and of course, now Domino's comfortably in the top 10 because he's got a decent gap ahead of Ulrich. He still wants to be ahead of Alex Siebel and get a 9th, you know, get another point or 2 on the board. It'll be really good for him, and, you know, he goes up to 9th now. That's 2 points. A car ahead makes a mistake, that's potentially 4. So your points can start to double and triple. You know, if you put yourself into the right place at the right time, it just seems difficult from this moment with 18 minutes to go. As here is a battle for 3rd here, Luke Whitehead on the back of Pedersen as they head their way down towards Sunset Bend, and behind is Christian Malguerra, who will also be looking to make the move as they head in towards Sunset Bend. Will there be a move for Luke Whitehead on the inside? He's darted to the inside, but late on the brakes there from Pedersen and stays behind in 4th for now. Is there anything that Luke can do here to attack on Marius, as there's one of the Falcon cars looking to go through as well? That'll be car number 6 going past as they head their way back in towards turn 1. That would have been Jonas Vanna. And for now, Pedersen can have a moment of relaxation, because that was a scary moment there as Luke Whitehead went up the inside, and that forced Pedersen to go later on the brakes, but still holds on to P3 for now.
There was a lot of clinching going on in that particular exchange. Good Lord, that was well driven from all of them. Yeah, but and Vanna managing to work his way through without impact. That was very, 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 very close, but managing to do so, very nicely done. But yeah, this battle again, fair play to Luke Whitehead. He qualified it, I think, down in 8th somewhere. That's surely Leiden serving his penalty, or has he just earned himself another one? Because he's just been given a drive-through penalty. No, he served it, so that's so yeah. See, that's now him serving his drive-through penalty. As we look at Mitty Hoyer in 5th position, just working his way past that GT3 battle we were just talking about. Oh, Grigoletto! Oh, that's again the worst moment. You're in the midst of a GT3 squabble, and the tail tried to let go on the Cadillac. He wrestled that one. Well, wow, that was very, very, very... I imagine there were a few unsavoury words said at that particular moment.
Yes, a lot.
Yes. New underpads required in car 1, please. Cantor and Gilhead still arguing for 7th. 16 and a bit minutes to go, and still plenty of fight and ticking clue.
Definitely, as they head their way back into Sunset, and Gilhead on the outside line. He's trying to go ahead and swing it all the way around. That's not going to work, so maybe it's the up and under. As a slight lock up there on the rear right for Marco Cantor as they head their way back down towards turn 1. Gilhood has got the move and he's into 7th place. And when I said rear right, I meant the front right. He had a lock up there, did Cantor, because if it was a rear right lock up, it'd be off of the barriers. That's safe to say. But yet again, a great move made by Sven Gilhood as one of his Falcon teammates, I think, going off the track and being like, right, if I'm not going to get involved, I don't want to end up ruining my teammate's race, so I'll take a little bit more caution than I otherwise would have done, and makes his way for those two to continue their way on. But of course, they've still got a 3-second gap back to Grigoletto, so you'd imagine that P6 is out of the door here for Sven Gilhood as they're trying to get past the 555, so that's going to be our leader, Alexis Heron.
That is indeed Alexis Heron. That is very much in the midst of the action. So that was Sam Gaskell in the Falcon Mercedes. That was very popular for a brief moment. As we cut back to this battle for 3rd position, Marius Pedersen still fending off the advances of Luke Whitehead. They come up to Cunningham once again. Aston from Mustang. No, he said Mercedes then. so completely wrong shape. Falling a little bit off the back of this group is Margera in the Lexus, but still hanging on in there as more Falcon livery getting close together with one another. Oh, that was very close from the Hypercar coming bursting past, as that is who's that that's in the midst of that mixture. Who's in that? I'm not 100% sure which one of the Falcon cars has just worked their way through. It was Siebel. It's Alex Siebel just again. It's amazing to see that the Hypercars are able to work their way through the traffic without. Well, certainly we haven't seen any of the Hypercars and LM GT3s tangle together. Now I've said it, expect what to happen. But yeah, they've done a brilliant job from what our perspective looks like very, very narrow gaps. But yeah, fair play to the mixed classes. They've done a great job of the GT3 staying out of the way and the Hypercars avoiding contact.
I'm surprised because of how tight and narrow parts of the track are, and there's some parts where you can't go 2x2 at all, and somehow they've all managed to do so. So once again, brilliant racecraft from these drivers, but that's what you expect. These are the best in the world on Le Mans Ultimate, or at least a lot of them are the best in the world, so you expect that level from these drivers, and yet again they've proven it today like they do in every race. Yeah, the racecraft, and it's also the fact of, because of how quick they are, and they know the peak lines and the peak speed to carry through a corner, they know what the car behind is going to do. They know where they're going to overtake you when it's, you know, maybe a Hypercar coming up. They know how quickly they'll gain in, so it's, you know, that experience as well, that really helps, and of course has stopped what could be many accidents here. If this was like one of the lower leagues, you can imagine there'd be a few Hypercars with GT3s tangling. Yeah, so far so good here in the Plat Split. As looking at the leaders from each class, it's Isaac Gillison, who we haven't spoken much about because he's been just flying very comfortably ahead of Arda Ercan, who of course made the car swap into the Cadillac, and then Jonas Vanna. It's his first race here. He's up in the top three, comfortably ahead of Dario Yamullo. And then in the LMGT3s, it's Alexis Harrant who has the lead ahead of Sam Gaskell and Marius Pedersen in third. But that third place might not last for long, because Whitehead and Margera are on the back of him and they are really putting down the pace. So keep an eye on that battle for third in the GT3 category. But apart from that, unfortunately, Chris, it seems that most battles have really seemed to have calmed down a little bit here, unless we have a battle for fourth evolved, because Michi Hoyer has caught up very well to the back of Dario Yamullo.
That is very true. He certainly has, and he is bringing Fabio Grigoletto along for the ride. There is Dario Yamullo at the top of the shot in the 28 Ferrari, representing the Ferrari Esports squad. And now we'll have to see if he's able to fend off the advances of his pursuers, as that is Isaac Gillison, who has led, rather than the pit stops, he has led from start to finish. Arda Ercan still in contention, but has started to lose, or has for the last few laps just lost a tiny bit of space to Isaac Gillison. We cut back to this brilliant battle, this three-way fight for third position. Pedersen in the Aston, Whitehead in the Mustang, and Margera in the Lexus. Let's see how this transpires. The Aston has not been favoured in the GT3 field. That's got to say, Marius Pedersen is pedaling that car well. Oh, he gets a real snap as they're coming out of Cunningham. And Luke Whitehead wasn't able to capitalise. He's piling all the pressure on Pedersen at this point. Coming through tower now. The Aston's gone a little bit deep. Is this an opportunity for Whitehead to try and draw alongside? He can't do it. Can't quite do it as they come through Bishop. And then look at this, on board with the Brit. He's trying every possible avenue to try and get past Marius Pedersen, the Dane. He swapped from the Lamborghini to the Aston. And now here comes Margera. So he was a few seconds back from the Brit earlier on. Now suddenly Luke Whitehead's got to be very, very defensive. He goes to the middle, does the Mustang. Is Margera going to try and get the inside line? They're trying to decide which way they're going to go. That's not going to work for Margera unless he can get the up and under. Can he wrong foot Luke Whitehead coming through Sunset? Luke stuck very heavily to the apex line. Is that going to compromise his exit speed? That gives a few car lengths of breathing space to Marius Pedersen.
It does, and that was a scary moment there for those two down in 4th and 5th, because it seemed like Margera there kind of just eyed it up perfectly and went for the move, but of course it's not easy to pass Luke Whitehead whatsoever. The top talents here in the GT3s, to say, heading towards 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then in towards Big Bend, and then down to the hairpin. 9 minutes to go here in this race, and it just seems like, Chris, with all the battling we've had, the last like 40 minutes have absolutely flown by in this race. Because here is Grigoletto and Miji Hoyer, and what a race that it could be for Hoyer here if he can hold on to a top 5. Hasn't had a good season at all here in VMS Platinum, and could be on for a very good result here if all goes his way as they head to the final corner. 9 minutes to go, so about 6 laps left, I'd imagine, here between these two. So Miji Hoyer has just got to think. I think the best way to think of it is 6 more times through the final corner, 6 more times into turn 1. That's all you've got to do to keep him behind, instead of thinking, oh, it's 10 long minutes, because that seems a lot harsher than 6 times through a corner.
But he's closing in still on Dario Yamalo, so he's got that to bear in mind. As that's Margera that almost had the overlap on Luke Whitehead. Then the Mustang just tapped the grass very, very slightly. That invited Margera to have a look, but could not do anything about it. They're working their way through Shendabi and Bend, through Le Mans now. Lexus wants a great exit from the Mans curve, but he's too close to the Mustang now. That's going to give the momentum advantage to Luke Whitehead as they both stay in the slipstream of the Aston ahead of them. Margera's just going to have to bide his time, but he doesn't have a lot of time left. He's trying that alternate line again. He's going a little bit wider to start with, trying to cut back, and that's he nudges the back of the Mustang. Well held, Margera caught the slide as damage to the front right of the Lexus. Oh, that could have been race ending there, but that might be challenge ending if that damage is going to prevent him being able to close back in on Luke Whitehead. Luke didn't really do anything wrong there. It's just really unfortunate for Christian Margera, just in the slipstream. Couldn't really do anything about it, had a little bit too much speed and just nudged the back of the Mustang.
Yeah, again, and Margera was desperate for the move. He went, up the inside and just a little bit too much power on the back. So that was a bit of a look there from Fabio Grigoletto. But yeah, a little bit too much power on the back of Luke Whitehead, and of course just tapped the rear. And of course, go through Sunset is the last point on this track that you want to be hitting the rear of somebody, because it is a horrible corner to go through without hitting the rear of another car, as Grigoletto still hunting down on Miji Hoyer for the top 5 position here. And of course, with the way the championship is going at the moment, gap-wise, it's 40 points between Gillison and Grigoletto. With Grigoletto only taking 8 points here and Gillison taking 25, you're bringing that gap down by nearly half, and that is perfect for Gillison and the Ferrari, but damaging and worrying for Fabio Grigoletto, because Gillison, in the 3 races he's finished so far, well, including this one, a win, a third, a win. And that's really good form, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very much so. Still a few minutes left, though, as we look at Sven Gielhed, who's arguing with Marco Cantor for 7th position. The Alpine bending off the advances of the Peugeot. Sole, I believe, Alpine left. We did have 2, but with Miji Hoyer swapping away from the French mark. Leaves Sven Gielhed to keep the brand going, keep it represented, I should say. That is Mehdi Hamadani. Still looking at this battle between Luke Whitehead and Christian Margera. That tap on the front right hasn't really slowed the Lexus down any. Straight back in the slipstream, keeping the pressure on. And I would think that is a very grateful Marius Pedersen in the Aston Martin. Now several car lengths separating him and the Mustang, with 5.5 minutes to go.
Definitely. So not long left in this race, and you'd imagine here that P3 is done and dusted, because Luke Whitehead's dropped too much time to Marius Pedersen. Even if he catches up, I just think Pedersen's seems a little bit more comfortable defending his spot compared to to Whitehead as they head their way on the brakes down in towards turn number 7 at the hairpin. Can Malgera make a move? He's a little bit too far back.
On this occasion, though, but and there you saw the tail of the Mustang get a little bit unhappy. Coming through hairpin, watching backwards now from the Brit. Is there going to be a banzai here from Malgera? He's thinking about it, didn't commit to it though, but stays very much under the rear wing of the English drivers. One of the Ferraris is now coming up. I suspect that's Gillison that is bearing down on these two. Doesn't need to banzai through. If it is Isaac Gillison, he's got a couple of seconds to the good. There he goes. It was indeed Isaac Gillison, but look at that, Malgera. He's thinking about it, nearly pushing Luke Whitehead along.
Indeed. So 4 minutes to go, not long left, but Malgera here is hungry for that fourth. He wants it. A lot as all that was scary as one of the Hypercars were making their way through. A bit of margin between the two here. Whitehead just about holds on to fourth. But of course, it's a run down towards Sunset Bend, where Malgera seems to get such a good opportunity to make a move and to try and go into fourth place. Into Sunset they go this time around, and Whitehead just has the gap, but holds on to that fourth place as they make their way through Sunset. Of course, the run down to turn 1. And let's see, is there now an opportunity for Malgera? He's going to be a little bit too far back, though, I think, on this occasion. 3 minutes to go in this one, and here's Michi Hoyer fending off from Fabio Grigoletto. They've got a Lamborghini ahead as they head through Sunset. Is there a chance now for Grigoletto to bite off the back of that, well, I wouldn't say a mistake, but the unfortunate Lamborghini being in the way?
Adrian Portal wanted his Lamborghini to shrink, I would imagine, at that point. Penultimate lap, most likely. It very much depends where Isaac Gillison is and when the checker flag falls. But Michi Hoyer has just soaked up all the pressure from Grigoletto. Oh my goodness, that is close. Remy Delorme is now the popular Lexus. Oh, there we go. Gives Malgera trying it. Oh, he thought about it. He had the run, and the tail has completely let go on the Lexus. I think a bit of frustration potentially creeping in there for Malgera, but he had a look. It was a strong look as well, but just couldn't get it done. Oh my goodness me, what must be running through the Italian's mind at this point? That's Grigoletto on Hoyer. Can the German fend off the advances of the champion? Michi's going to have the outside for the next couple, and then the inside for Tower. Oh, who's going to win out here? Is it going to be Falcon, or is he going to be the champion? Still side by side as they come through Tower. Oh, Grigoletto just had a snap at the wrong moment. Michi Hoyer, he can breathe again. But Grigoletto is trying everything he can in the dying moments of the race.
Oh, this is brilliant, isn't it? Battle for 5th and the battle for 4th in the Hypercar category and the LMGT3s. And once again, Malgera on the back of Luke Whitehead down towards Sunset Bend they go, as one of the Hypercars makes their way past that. Well, I think is Dario Yamullo in P4 at the moment, as Whitehead still keeps ahead of Christian Malgera, and this time around there's not much of a fight from the Lexus as they head out to the final corner and back down to turn 1. 1 minute and 40 to go. You'd imagine now only a couple laps remain as Grigoletto is on the outside of Michi Hoyer into turn 1. Can Grigoletto find the move? Hoyer's there. Luke Whitehead's in the way as they head through turn 1. Oh dear me, that was nearly a race-ending moment, but Michi Hoyer somehow makes his way through those two GT3s and holds on to P5. Grigoletto goes through as Michi Hoyer's gone deep. Fabio's got the inside line, there's contact again, and has Grigoletto made the move as they head through in towards the big bend. For now is ahead, but of course a great run now for Michi Hoyer to go back down to the hairpin and go for a late move. To the outside he goes.
That was brilliant driver awareness from everybody concerned there, as that could have gone horribly, horribly wrong. Michi tries to get the inside at Cunningham on Grigoletto, actually gets it done as the Italian just touches the dirt there, loses the tiny bit of momentum. Everyone's tyres are absolutely mullered at this point. There's just so little grip left in the tyres. There's probably a fair amount of fatigue going on. Yamamoto's in trouble. What has happened to Darian Yamamoto? This, let's have a look then at the Ferrari. He's had a moment somewhere. What's happened here? So that is one of the Falcon Mercedes.
Oh, that's
nice. Touch the grass? No.
Yeah.
Just locked up, coming up into Cunningham. Yeah. Unforced error from Dario Yamalo. Oh my goodness me. No, never want to see it. Very, very rare to see as well. but Hoyer is still by the merest margin manages to keep Fabio Grigoletto behind. The leaders have just crossed the line. The final lap has begun. Let's see if anybody is playing Russian roulette with a fuel tank as well. I think everyone should be all right, but that's not. Oh, Grigoletto, what a move on the inside of Sunset Bend to steal away fourth.
That's because there was one of the Lamborghinis there in the way. Oh, and I think he's let Hoyer back through. He has done so into third one. Michi Hoyer's gone back through to fifth place. And Grigoletto drops behind, but he's dropped too much time here to Michi Hoyer and has now got behind him Sven Gilhard, who enters the scene, trying to battle for fifth place on the final lap. You would have imagined here it would have been the battle for fourth, not the battle between Grigoletto and Sven Gilhard as they head their way back down to the hairpin. Is there a last lap chance here for Sven Gilhard to put his Alpine up into the top 5? To the hairpin they go. Grigoletto defends it as they head their way in, and no move made there. And still Grigoletto holding on to P5, but Michi Hoyer with the best finish at the moment of fourth. As what happened through there, I don't know why.
I wonder whether Fabio thought he barged Michi out of the way, but that was a fair move. Or he's wiggling there, so unless he's got a problem of some description. Either way, we've got Luke Whitehead now fending off the advances of Christian Margera. So we've got battles still raging on in the dying moments of the race. We're on our final lap now. An hour and 20 minutes gone. And, well, the only man that hasn't been in a fight of any description is this man, your winner here in Sebring for the Hypercar class, Isaac Gillison. That is his second win of the season. And then Arda Erchan comes home in second with Jonas Vanna takes the podium. But at the moment, that's Margera thinking about a maneuver coming down into Shindebian Bend. Can't get it done. Can't get the overlap on the Mustang. It's do or die, all or nothing, feast or famine as they come towards Almond Straight. That's more of the hypercars coming over. Hoyer fourth, Grigoletto fifth, Gilhard sixth, Cantor in seventh. But here comes Margera. Now, can he wrestle away the fourth position from Whitehead? He thinks about it. Oh, I think he's wrong-footed himself. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Forced to the outside of Sunset Bend. Herron has come across the line. Gaskell is second. Pedersen is going to come across the line in third. And Whitehead holds on by the skin of his teeth to fourth place. Margera in fifth. Hamadani, about 7 seconds back, will claim in sixth position. There he is. Remy Delorme in seventh. Portal in eighth. Alexander Hanna in ninth. And Patrick Schindler will round out the top 10 of our GT3s. We didn't actually get to talk about our... So here it is again. This is the move that Grigoletto got. That was a fair move. That was a completely fair move. But you can see he suddenly gets a problem. He flashes the lights. I mean, Michi Hoyer, I don't think saw the flashlights.
Oh, I'll go.
I think that wiggle is an indication. I think that is, I've seen that maneuver used as well. So again, let's just look at it again. There's no impact between the two. So why Grigoletto felt the need to give Hoyer that position back, I genuinely don't know. He just lets off the gas, gives the wiggle.
Odd.
Oh, did he think it was checkered flag? But it's possible. It is.
Yeah.
He is the champion and he's made that mistake. Oh, well, that's assuming that is what the mistake was. We do not know. I mean, if we get a chance to have a chat to him, then happy days. But, well, without Stewart's intervention, let's have a look at, ignore the deltas, they are wrong. So Alexis Heron is your GT3 winner. Sam Gaskell, great debut here in Platt in the Falcon Mercedes in second. And then Amaris Pedersen rounds out the podium for GT3s. Luke Whitehead in fourth, Christian Margera fifth, Mehdi Hamadani in sixth, Remy Delorme seventh, Adrian Portal in eighth, Alexander Hanna in ninth, and Patrick Schindler rounding out the top 10. I think, you're right there, Rick.
Yeah. Thought it was the last lap.
Oh, he's just said, oh no. With Vladislav Kolosov, we unfortunately didn't get much of a chance to see you. Although I did spot he's got brilliant livery on that. We lost in the course of the race. Julian Hanno, Niclas Lemoyne, Thomas Leiden, Marine Bessia, Alexander Lay, and Artem Manisha. No, we didn't. We only lost the last two of GT3s. I beg your pardon. Julian Henno was 12th, Niclas won 13th, Thomas Leiden following his drive through down at 14th. The Marine Bessia rounding out the finishes. Alexander Lay and Artem Manisha did not see the flag. Let's have a look at our hypercar finishes in. Isaac Gillison takes the top spot. Arda Erchan in second. Jonas, good grief. Vanna in third position. Michi Hoyer, what a finish, coming home in fourth. Fabio Grigoletto, I mean, still a good finish, but it happens to be one of his worst finishes. One of the few times he's been off the podium all season. Sven Gilhead in sixth, Marco Cante in seventh, Dario Yamalo in eighth, following that late spin. Marco De Bono in ninth, Alex Siebel rounding out the top 10. With Ulrich, our final hypercar and only non-hypercar points finisher, we lost in the course of the race. Paul Puo, Leonardo Pizzoni, Rafael Bila, Giuseppe Denoia, Johannes Price, Jimmy Menard, Brandon Geitz, and our non-starters were Justin Stubbenrauch and David Natskidashvili. What a race. My co-commentator Nathan Richards having to disappear. Thank you very much for joining me, good sir. Always a pleasure to have you on board. Right, do we have anyone wanting to come and have a chat to us? Yes, we do. We have our hypercar winner. So let's have a chat to Isaac Gellison. Isaac, are you with us?
Yes. Hello, can you hear me okay?
Very loud and clear, good sir. Well, relatively straightforward for you. I say relatively because you did have a lot of pressure early on, but then you just controlled it and slowly waltzed off into the sunset. Was it as simple as that, or was it a bit more complicated for you?
Yeah, nope. I got a bit of a deja vu with Ulrich and Arda. You cannot make any mistake. Like if you lose 2/10, then you know for sure that Arda will have gained 2/10 on the gap, and with a gap of 2 seconds, any wrong GT3 will mean that he's on the back of you. So it was quite a tense race. Like with 20 minutes to go, like all the pit stops were done. I was like, okay, now can we end the race, please? Because I don't want to do another 20 minutes with the pressure. So, but it worked out in the end. So yeah, big thanks to the team. Grant us too for the setup, because I didn't have a lot of practice time. I just copied his set from the Sebring 4-hour a couple of weeks ago, and it worked pretty well.
So not a lot of practice and still won. Goodness me.
I think for the next few races I should practice a bit less as well, because Power Car was also just on the brim.
It seems to be working for you, but it's wonderful to see, Isaac. It's still bizarre that you are actually a reserve in this field, and that's your second win, putting you up to second in the championship, and really, certainly a touching distance to Fabio. Are you just taking things race by race, or are you looking at the top spot?
I got granted a spot in the full time grid day, so I'm going full time for the championship now for sure.
Excellent, excellent. So you started as a reserve, but it's good to see that you're with us full time, Isaac, because you're certainly putting on brilliant performances. Interlagos next time. How are you fancying your chances?
I love the track. I haven't driven on it with the new tire model, but I think it should be really quite nice. Don't know what the bob is going to be. Also, after the update Tuesday, who knows what the mix-up is going to be. But just need to prepare on our own race preparation and see, what will happen.
Well, we very much look forward to it, and what a championship we had ahead of us. Brilliant win. Thank you very much, Isaac Gellison.
Thanks, guys.
Right. We have a wide variety of drivers that have come forward to have a chat to us. So we've spoken to our hypercar winner. Let's have a chat to our hypercar runner-up. Arda-chan. Arda, are you with us?
Hello.
Oh, wow. So close. So very close. But what a way to christen the new car. So what prompted the change?
Well, first of all, I love the Toyota. No hate, but it was not a good car. I believe in the upcoming 4 rounds, and as it was, I just didn't believe in it. I was kind of sick of it. I thought I can make up some points with the Cadillac. I like the car way more to drive, so I thought like, what do I have to lose? I only got 20 points or so might as well have some fun, get some points. So and it almost paid off. If only I could have gotten Isaac, I would have had more points than I lost. Well, dropped. So yeah, it is what it is.
I mean, that's a great way of christening the new car with a strong podium. So, Interlagos next time out. Are you? How are you thinking about? Obviously, very different characteristic, a bit less bumpy, but very, very twisty. How are you favouring Interlagos and your new car?
Well, Interlagos is not my favorite track, in all honesty. But let's see how Cadillac's gonna do. I honestly have no idea. Last season, I also got P2 in Sebring in the Cadillac, and I won Interlagos. So I have a good precedent here, I think. So we'll see how it goes. And Interlagos is not the most unlikely rain race, so it can be very interesting.
Very true. Brilliant race, Arda. Very, very well deserved podium. And we look forward to seeing you at the Brazilian Classic in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much, Arda Rojan.
Thank you, and have a good evening.
And to you, sir. Right. And our third place hypercar finisher and newcomer to is before we bring Johannes in, that is I've done it again. Jonas. Where is the H in his name? I don't know. That is our season remain. Just 3 races to go. Interlagos on the 19th of April. Monza on the 3rd of May. No, actually, 19th is 3 weeks. Beg your pardon. And then Le Mans, final endurance round and final round of the season. Do keep an eye out for those. Right, let's bring in our reserve driver coming home on the podium. Fantastic effort. Let's have a chat with Jonas Vanna. Jonas, are you with us?
Hello, hello.
Now, have I said it correctly? Is it Vanna?
Yeah. Let's say it like that. Let's say it like that. In Germany, it's Vanna, but
I'm quite particular in getting people's names right. So,
quite accurate.
Yeah, Vanna. I thought it was a V rather than a W. So, I mean, what a way to. Firstly, welcome to Platt, and what a way to make your entrance. Brilliant stuff.
Thank you. Well, I mean, thanks for letting us participate. I mean, it was actually really last minute that we signed up, but it was one hell of a race, and it was a lot of fun. Like, the competition is good, and the racing itself was really nice as well.
So, admittedly, I'm not particularly familiar with your previous work. But how have you kind of progressed? What's been your journey leading up to now?
Well, I mean, it's quite a long journey now. I mean, it started in 2020, but well, since joining LMU, I mean, there's only the special events, let's say like that, you can basically do, and I mean, now it's kind of a free time, so I was willing to race, and I mean, with ADA and stuff, they said you could probably sign up as a reserve driver, trying to get a shot, and I think here we are now in the interview.
Excellent stuff. Now, I do owe you an apology. For some reason, my brain kept telling me there's a H in your name. I kept referring to you as Johannes. So I apologize for that.
I can say you're not the first one. Let's say it like that. Even German commentators sometimes say Johannes, so you're good.
Okay. So, I mean, will we be seeing you? It's probably a bit difficult to say because being a reserve driver, there's never a guarantee of that there'll be available seats. But if you're able to take part in Interlagos next time around, how's that track for you? Is that a track you enjoy?
Probably say it's one of my top 3 tracks. I know that's kind of an unpopular opinion because I don't know if a lot of people love Interlagos, but I really much enjoy it. I really enjoyed the 4 hours or something what was there 2 months ago or something. So if I get the chance, I'll definitely be there, and I hope to continue what I've done on Sebring.
Well, we would very much enjoy your company there from what we've seen today. Absolutely superb effort. Welcome to Platt, and I genuinely hope that we get to see you again, Jonas. So The only German phrase I can remember for that's applicable to here: "Tolles Rennen, tolles Rennen."
Thank you. Dankeschön.
Dankeschön, bitte sehr. Auf Wiedersehen, Jonas.
Auf Wiedersehen.
For those unknowing, I said "good race" in German. So thank you very much, Jonas Vanna, for joining us on that one. Right, we've got two of our GT3 podium sitters. So let's have a chat with also another brilliant performing reservist. Let us bring in Sam Gaskell. Sam, are you with us?
Hello, I am, yes.
Well, what an entrance. Welcome to Platt to start with. But now Nathan has commented earlier on that he's seen you as in other areas and was very aware of your talents, but your practice times alone were absolutely stunning. Wow, absolutely brilliant stuff. Well done.
Thank you, thank you. I mean, I was confident going into the round. I mean, I'm just a reserve for the season. I jumped in really late. I didn't really know if I was even going to be here this weekend. And yeah, I just hopped in, wanted to have some fun. Merc was quick. I mean, that Lambo, I mean, fair play to Alexis, has been absolutely insane all season, so I'm not gonna take any credit away, but he yeah, I just couldn't keep up with it. It was so quick. When he told me in the chat that car could do a 0.3, I was like, man, there's yeah, all right, bro. I can't do that. Can't do that, not in the AMG, but no, drove well for most of the race. Had a few mistakes. And yeah, I felt confident. I did not do any race laps, which I probably should have done. But yeah, car was all right all the entire race, and yeah, handled it well.
You come home in second. It seems to be working for you.
Yeah,
yeah, straight in. You know, oh, great stuff, Sam. So, what prompted the choice of the Mercedes?
Well, actually, I'm driving in a separate championship called TAM Restec, which is like one of the other big championships, the sprint championships, apart from Elephant Pro and obviously VMS. And I'm currently leading that championship against Tommy and Luke and whatnot. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Car's basically like the third fastest car overall. It's not the fastest, not the worst. It's in the middle. And this is a car I really like driving, and it's evidently working. It's pretty good on VE as well. And I knew that lifting and coasting at this track, especially with how you set the car up, it was viable. So I took it. And yeah, just sent it really, and see what happened. Yeah,
great stuff. Yeah, can't argue with that. So, obviously, as a reserve driver, it's not guaranteed that you'll be able to join us in 3 weeks for Interlagos. But if we do see you on the grid, how does the Brazilian track suit you?
Well, it's one of my best tracks. But it's definitely not one of the Merc's best tracks, I'll tell you that much. Not compared to Lambo or Lexus, so we'll see how that goes. Obviously, I don't know if I'll even race. I might not be here, I might be here. Obviously, if there's a slot available, then I might do. But yeah, I mean, good track for me. Maybe not for the Merc, but we'll see how Tommy does. Obviously, my teammate, he's in the Merc as well. And then Patrick and Chris are both in the Lexus, so they should have a pretty good chance. So if I'm not here, then I'll be cheering them on. But yeah, it should be good. Should be a fun watch.
If tonight's anything to go by, I genuinely hope you are with us. That was a fantastic performance, Sam. And well, best of luck in your other championship as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Sam Gaskell. Right, so we have got two more of our GT3 contenders wanted to come and have a chat to us. So let's grab across our third. Solo Aston Martin in the GT3 is Marius Pedersen. Marius, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Why, you had a lot to do. You had a lot of pressure towards the end of that. Talk us through that race from your side.
Yeah, I mean, I knew the Aston wasn't going to be the best on his tires, so I knew it was going to be a tough second stint. The first stint was really good. I needed to settle in a little bit. And when I settled in, I pulled a nice gap to the cars behind. But after the pit stop, Luke was so quick and he caught me. And I needed to get really lucky with the Hypers. And luckily that happened.
Now, curiously, you've had a car change. You changed from the Lamborghini, which, you know, in other areas seems to be working well. What prompted the change?
Well, after the BOB change with a few kilos added to the Lambo, the way I set up my cars, I needed to set it up to be a little bit too sketchy for me to be quick in. So I tried a lot of different cars, and the Aston just suited me the best. So that's why I picked it.
I have no argument. I love the Aston. I have a bit of, I mean, not because it's a British brand. I've always loved the Vantage. So I quite enjoy seeing it. But great effort. I mean, what a way to. Obviously, we didn't see you in Spa last time out, so a great way to kind of christen the car, so to speak.
Yeah, it was a good race, man. It was really nice.
Next time out is Interlagos. So how does that suit you? How does that suit the Aston?
Well, I think I've done a little bit of practice and made a like a preemptive setup. The pace seems to be decent. I struggle a bit in the middle sector, so I need to sort that out. But otherwise, it's going to be a good race.
Awesome. We very much look forward to that. And yeah, glad to see you get some points on the board following the car change. And I'm sure we'll be seeing plenty more of you. Brilliant race, Marius, and best of luck moving forward. Thank you very much, Marius Pedersen.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And finally, we have got Luke Whitehead, the charging Mustang, ready to have a chat to us. Luke, are you with us?
Hello. Yes, I am.
My God, you were looking forwards, looking backwards, looking forwards, looking backwards. Wow, you were just constantly fighting all race long, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, first off, good evening. Hope you enjoyed the race. It certainly seemed a bit questionable at times and very entertaining nonetheless. But yeah, I don't really know where to start, to be honest. Was slow in quali, kind of slow in the race. Basically having to look front and rear all the time. Was getting pummeled by hypercars at the end, and yeah, I mean, it was all gifted by turn one. I think as I said, like I feel like a bit of a scam artist to be here, to be honest, because I was not fast, and I was not, I was not really worthy of being there. But I got quite lucky, and as I said, played my cards all as much as I could have done, and somehow ended up P4, nearly ended up P3, which I think would have been really. P3
I was going to say it was very, very close to the podium there. So I think you're being somewhat disingenuous to yourself there, Luke. I mean, surviving as well, surviving sim racing is part of success. So, I mean, how has the Mustang been? It's been you've
terrible.
had two. You've had 2 wins with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be completely honest. Like the first 3 races, it was probably the strongest car, to be totally honest. I mean, well, at least with me in it, it was very strong, and I pretty much maximized the car the first 3 races. Obviously, second race we had that game bug which threw the win away, which was really annoying, and probably has ruined our championship in hindsight. But then obviously we had God, what even was the next race?
Spa.
We've had Spa, which the car was just absolutely nowhere. We kind of, again, lucked into a top 5, really, with strategy and whatnot. Then this race, the car was, I mean, no other word for it, 7/10 off the pace of the Lambo and about 3/10 off everything else. So it was, no denying it's been difficult and it's been quite hard to stay positive. But, it's one of those where you have to just maximize what you've got. And I feel like I've done that the last few races. I feel like we've, again, P4, P3. Like if you told me that after quali, I'd have laughed in your face. I wouldn't have said it was doable. But it's just how you have to do it. You have to minimize or maximize the opportunities you get handed. And I feel like I've done that to as much of my ability and as much as the car can do. So I can't really complain too much. And then I think Interlagos is next, where hopefully the car is a little bit better. At least if it's dry, if it's wet, then we got no hope. But yeah, we'll see how we get on. Again, I know the cards that I've got, they're very limited, but I think if Interlagos is dry, we can probably fight for the win again. So fingers crossed.
Now, Luke, you know better than to say a comment like "you can't complain." We're British. That is what we do.
It is
complaining is a pastime.
I'm also a racing driver. Can have racing driver excuses, all of the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I know like Le Mans, the car's pretty decent. Monza, the car is awful. So. We've got 2 out of 3 races where the car's okay, but we'll see how we get on.
So win from pole with the fastest lap then at Monza. You watch, ladies and gentlemen.
I highly doubt it. If I do, okay, I shouldn't really bet.
You've opened the door now. Your stream alone is expecting you to answer that.
Nah, never.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah, but we'll see. But it's always a pleasure to be in here. So
I was going to say it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Luke. And again, well done for wrestling the the Mustang into a strong position. Still 3 rounds to go into Lagos. We'll see how the cards fall. Great effort. Well done. Thank you very much, Luke Whitehead.
Thank you very much. Take care, man. Have a good one. Catch out.
And that is it for tonight's festivities. Thank you very much to those that have been with us, either live or post-event. Your presence is always very welcome. Thank you very much, Nathan Richards, for joining me in the commentary box once again. Always a pleasure to have you along for the ride. As mentioned, Nathan has had to disappear, so I'm not cutting him off. He's not behind the mic right now. And thank you very much, Niclas Domino, for being in charge of the cameras. Literally couldn't do it without you. Always a pleasure all the same. As you can see on the calendar, it is 3 weeks' time before we return here in Platinum for Interlagos. We hope to see you for the ride as well. Same time, same place. You know where to find us. Until next time, thank you very much and good night.